recording right now? Okay, just let it all out. Last chance.
Sub-Zero wins.
All right. And we are back. Welcome, everyone, to the journey to the Snyder Cut. Yes, it's coming out soon. I hope you're all excited. I am, which is why I am here with two good friends of mine to talk about the DCEU's film catalog. This episode, we are talking about the second entry. Yes, it's this one. Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. So before anything, right, I need to introduce my co-host here, which is Angel. Angel, how are you doing?
Doing great. What's up, everybody? So happy to be here. Can't wait to talk Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition. I want to make that clear. This better be about
we'll be talking about both. We'll be talking about both.
But yeah, I'm just glad everybody is chiming in, getting excited for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Can't wait to watch it on March 18th and review that with everybody. Can't wait. Really happy to be here with you guys to talk this movie.
See, Angel knows how to be polite when it comes to controversial films, you know. Now, we also have.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what is that? Who you calling Pinhead?
I'm weak. Kindness is weak.
You're living in a dream world, bro. We have a very special guest here. If you know about this channel, you probably know him. Who is it? It is Daniel from the show No One Asked For. How are you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Julius. Thank you, Angel. Just glad to be back. Love collabing with you guys. You guys are fun. Love your live streams. You guys have been killing it with the live streams. Those are so dope. So good. Obviously, Angel's reactions are crazy. Julius, you're putting out some crazy work with the those like cinematic movies. Those are crazy detailed, man.
What the cinematic?
Those like stories that you have.
Those, yes, the narrative podcast.
The narrative podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Those are crazy. Yeah, those are really detailed. Probably takes a lot of work, but yeah.
You have no idea. Jesus.
But yeah, those are cool. Those are cool too. But yeah, thank you for having me on, guys. It's always fun to talk with you guys. You know that. You know.
Of course.
Go way back. So.
This is taking me back to when
of course.
would talk in person when we were available, when we were healthy. We have it all. When we started this podcast 5 years ago, can you believe it? A movie came out called Batman versus Superman in theaters. Here it is, obviously. This is wallpaper from it, obviously. And it drew plenty of fans, lots of controversy as well. There's a lot to go into this conversation, a lot to go in this film. The premise of it, obviously, is after the events of Man of Steel, the Battle of Metropolis, where hundreds of thousands of people perished because of Zod's invasion. The world is now untrusting of Superman. They don't look at him as a savior. They look at him as a threat. And the number one paranoid bastard in the world, Batman, takes it upon himself to take him out. Take him out like Grubhub. So that's basically where we're coming from. This is the second entry into the DCEU, as it were. So before we even talk about our opinions, right? Before any of that, I want to know, from both of you guys, when imagining the first Batman and Superman meeting in film, in cinema, the Avengers before the Avengers, it's Batman and Superman, the biggest icons within comics. What did you picture? Did you picture it being a fighting film, a team-up film? What was in your minds when you were thinking about this?
Daniel, want to take it away?
Yeah, well, there's the cliche, like, you know, they fight at first and then they team up against a thing, you know, which is what happens in most, you know, versus
crossovers.
Yeah, crossovers, which is okay. I get that, you know. But I imagine something more of the quality of like the Dark Knight Returns, the animated movie, you know, when Batman and Superman get down.
Which this takes inspiration from heavily.
Right. It does, which I thought maybe there was hope there, you know.
Right.
So I mean, we'll get into it, but yeah, those are my thoughts about what I expected out of a versus movie, you know. And I also, it was hard to expect anything great. This being the second entry, like you mentioned, only having Man of Steel before as a context for this whole entire universe. Now the second movie, we get introduced as Batman already fighting Superman, and like I guess that's not necessarily wrong, right? Everybody can go whatever route they want to take, but it just seemed like already you're fighting an uphill battle like that. You're already like trying to rush a world, you know. I don't know. It seemed like, and again, we'll get into it, but the motivation to fight, you know, and then the motivation to stop fighting and team up, like that's gonna be difficult with just one movie, and then you know. Like now this so, and we'll get into it or whatever, but that's kind of what I expected out of a movie like that, the motivation to fight and then the motivation to team up after. What is it we expect it to happen, but what is that going to be, you know? Is it going to work? Am I going to believe it, you know? Let's see, you know. So that's what I expected.
Angel, how do you feel about it? What was your dream when you were growing up, reading comics, watching these shows? What was your dream of seeing Batman and Superman in film like?
I think all of our dreams, you know, growing up as lovers of Batman and Superman, two titans of comic books themselves, over Marvel, hands down, Batman and Superman. I think our dream was to see these two titans come to the screen and for that experience to be the quintessential cinematic experience. I think that's what we all wanted, right? And for some people, it was that, and I'm happy for them. Unfortunately for me, when we went to go first see it with the theatrical cut, I was disappointed. I was disappointed because I've seen the quality that these characters have been exposed to before in prior incarnations, whether we're talking about comic books themselves or also the DCEU. I wanted this movie to give me that same feeling that I got when I watched the Superman Batman animated movie, World's Finest from 1997. Right, you know, and that's the thing. That's the thing. Like a lot of people, they go into this version and it's a new take for them. This is a new vision for a new generation. But for us who have grown up to those comics, to those cartoons, and I know a lot of people like to shut down those cartoons, but what I loved about those cartoons is the characters were fully realized there and they were defined there forever. I felt like those two depictions of Batman and Superman in the animated universe were defined there. And so I would have loved to have seen that dynamic be similar to the animated movie, especially because I thought in that movie it was done so damn well. So damn well. I felt like the personalities of Superman and Batman were a perfect reflection of who they were based off of the comic incarnations. And to see two of their villains like Joker and Lex Luthor come in and both of them take them down in their own ways and coming together as the world's finest, that's what I was expecting for this movie. And unfortunately, the expectations didn't meet when I did view the theatrical cut. But I will say there were definitely improvements in the Ultimate Edition. I just wish that I got that same feeling when I saw the animated movie.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like when you hear Batman and Superman movie together, right? When it's announced after Man of Steel, you can't help but be excited. Even if Man of Steel wasn't a Superman movie that you were hoping it would be, right? Batman's going to be in the next Superman film. Yes, I need to see that no matter what. No matter what, right? They announced what we were talking about earlier, Mortal Kombat. Okay, that's going to be a movie. I need to see that.
Right?
I need to see that no matter what. Even if it sucks, I need to see it. Get over here. You know, you put some Injustice. You're Sub-Zero versus Superman, like in Superman and Lois from last night. You're like that. So I hear Batman's going to be in it. I hear Ben Affleck's going to be the new Batman. So I remember how Daniel reacted. I remember how I reacted. And we'll get into that very much later. We will definitely get into that. But I'm still down with it, right? I'm still down with it because I feel like he could be a great Batman. But then it gets delayed and you start thinking about it. It's like, oh, well, this is kind of rushing and kind of reactionary towards what Marvel did do, because they were well ahead of the curve at that. They had like they were past the Avengers at that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they had a couple good and great films stacking up their universe, and they were building up to something as epic as Age of Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame, and now the future with something like WandaVision, right? They were building and building and building, and like what Daniel said, this felt like kind of like a rushing point, you know? Oh, we have Batman. We don't need to do any of that work. We got fucking Batman. We have the goddamn Batman, you know? So we're already good. And we had a whole trilogy that people either liked or loved. So we're fine. Let's just bring Batman in. Now, no, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, do you guys remember what it felt like when we saw I Am Legend back in 2008 and saw that Batman, Superman poster in the background and our hopes for a movie like that one day?
Yeah.
Okay. So remember that feeling that we had? Remember that feeling that we had? That level of expectation was not met when I watched the movie. And I have to be honest, you know, and that's just me talking about the expectation. That's not me criticizing the movie yet for the flaws that I believe it does have.
Right.
But just to let everybody know, there are things I do like about the movie, and we will get into those.
And we were all excited about it.
Same.
Sorry, go ahead, Daniel.
Well, you know, same. I agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. But you know, it's just crazy because it's kind of like the Kong Godzilla thing or whatever. Yeah, you know, I have my, you know, the way I want it to go or whatever. But we all just want a good movie. We all just want to sit there and really enjoy the movie. That's really what we want. Kong fan, Godzilla fan, you know, Batman fan, Superman fan, DC fan, Marvel fan, superhero fan. You know, just a movie fan. You want to go and see a good movie. You're never hoping like, oh man, I hope this sucks. And I hope I pay for it.
I hope I pay for something that I want to hate.
Yeah, right.
I'll just smoke cigarettes if that's the case, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. We all went, we all paid because we saw that sign, because we've read these comics, because we've seen it at this quality, and now we're getting a live action. So yes, obviously we us in particular, and sure, lots of people out there, they keep now, especially, they keep up with what's going on behind the scenes, like pre-production, post-production, all this stuff. So we have more information, more expectations going into movies like, oh man, this might stink because this has happened before. And you know, not to say that that always happens, you know, the audience can be wrong with your expectations, but what I'm saying is you look at a track record of certain mistakes or certain things that, you know, makes movies succeed, and this movie, like you said, it just seemed like it was already fighting an uphill battle, like trying to rush. But again, we went with the hopes of like, maybe they could pull this off. I mean, they have these characters, you know what I mean? They're gonna get down. What? They're good. That's it. Like,
they have the two top dogs in common.
The two top dogs. You know what I mean?
Aside from someone like Spider-Man, you know, like Batman and Superman.
Yeah, I mean, it's like not paying for Conor and Khabib. I mean, that's silly, right? Conor's fighting Khabib. You don't pay. What? Who doesn't?
I can't think of many. I actually can't think of a pairing that is better than a Batman versus Superman movie. If anybody can tell me a better pairing than that, I don't think that can be topped. That's why I say this movie should have been regarded. No, but I love these characters so much. That I wish I can look back at Batman versus Superman, whether I'm talking about the theatrical cut or the ultimate cut. I wish I can look back at it fondly, like I do at movies like The Dark Knight, like I do Logan, like I do Winter Soldier, Endgame, Infinity War. I wish, because who wouldn't want to feel that way about a Batman versus Superman movie? I know some people out there do. But I just wish I did. You know, there are movies you watch and you can't help but fight your own feelings. You're reacting to stuff that's happening on the screen. The ending of BVS, I feel, is very honestly bleak. I feel that way, you know, and I feel like a movie about Batman and Superman, the two titans, the two characters that come together to bring the Justice League to ensure that the whole universe in the DC universe will be safe. I feel like by the end of that film, I feel like I should never have to watch a movie ever again after a movie like that. And it just wasn't the case.
Well, Daniel, do you have something last to say before I?
Well, no, I was going to say that, but we, you know, more to Angel's earlier point, these characters many times, not one time, many times, even in specifically live action, not to mention animated and comics and whatever else, you know, it they've been done very well, you know,
Right.
like individually on their own many times. So like we've enjoyed them. That's why we're coming to the party. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why we're there. You know, I'm there. I'm buying. I'm paying the cover at the door. I want to be at this party to see what's up. You know.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, Daniel, because I feel like that's a reason why maybe these movies can be divisive, right? Because these characters here, the portrayal of these characters are clearly different interpretations from what we are accustomed to.
Right.
So when we see it and it's clearly different, I feel like it's valid for people who have loved these characters for years to kind of be thrown off and be like, oh, whoa, like, okay, whoa, this is a different take on this. And it's understandable how somebody would be like, I don't know how I feel about that next snap from Superman.
Right.
I just don't know how to feel. And I feel like that's understandable.
I saw Daniel just go like, you don't know how you felt.
Well, because I just to pose a different, not even to play devil's advocate, I actually believe this. I think, and not that you'll disagree, but I think the movie has its flaws, like you said earlier, aside from it just being different than the characters.
You're talking about Batman versus Superman?
Yeah, I think the movie itself, you know, has some flaw, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure.
Oh, you know what? As a matter of fact, why don't we let ourselves talk about it from back in the day?
Oh no!
When we saw the movie. For those who don't know, this is not the first time we've talked about this film. We had a review from years ago, which I'm going to play a little bit of right now.
How do I look older?
Wait, can you hear it?
In the past?
How do I look older in the past?
I'm sorry.
Oh man, look at me with my
sound.
Batman.
All
Look
right,
at me with my Batman versus Superman shirt, dog.
No,
like,
look
I
at your
love
face
these characters, man.
You look like Ben Affleck in that interview.
Oh man, I was heartbroken.
No, but originally,
it was supposed to be
Superman 2 with Batman.
Scripts got leaked so many times.
Dude, because that's the thing.
No, they realized how amazing Ben Affleck's Batman was, and they were like,
damn,
we need to turn this. We need to make this Batman film. Okay, and that was one of my positives. Was the first hour of this movie.
All right, so the first hour of this movie,
I agree with myself. Hey, I agree with myself 5 years ago.
So obviously, back then when we were recording that review at the high school, it was a very angry review. I remember there's a point where actually Angel, and I'm looking for it right now, there's a point where Angel yells right at the camera. So they meet for 5 seconds. That's it. So obviously we were a bit angry after that film. I remember actually flipping off the moment that Superman does get KO'd. My question is, for both of you guys, while I look for this clip of Angel yelling, has your anger lessened? How do you feel now compared to where you felt back then?
You want me to go?
Yeah,
I feel almost. I don't know if it's worse. I feel like I accept that it's worse now. So like when I watched it the first time, yeah, I was disappointed, but I was kind of like, maybe I'm being too harsh. I mean, there are certain things that I liked about it, you know, but now when I watched it again for this, you know, you gave me the heads up. So I went back and watched the DCEU movies.
All of them?
Yeah. And I tried to watch, I didn't finish the Ultimate Edition, but I watched the first, I'm the last like 5 minutes. I watched the theatrical version and then the ultimate cut. The ultimate, except I didn't see the ending part. But yeah, I watch it thinking, you know, I'm gonna like the parts that I'm gonna be less harsh this time. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be less harsh, of course. You know, of course I am. So I started watching it and I'm like, man. Like I just see these actors drowning in bad dialogue. Like it's really bad. Like I don't hate these actors. I don't hate their expressions or how they're really delivering their performances or their on-screen presence. That never bothers me, you know. And not all their I like Russell Crowe's dialogue. He handles his role, I feel like, pretty well.
Always.
You know, but in like Man of Steel, you know, in that universe and stuff like that.
Beast, yeah.
But like, yeah, he's a beast always. But like. I'm just saying the dialogue overall in that universe, in the movies that I saw, even if I liked Aquaman, even if I like Shazam, like some of, like just some of the dialogue, I'm like, it seems like, and I don't want to be too snobby, but it sounded like a kid wrote it, like a high school kid that has read these or is trying his best and writes these like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get you.
It just is not. It's not a. I don't know. Sometimes I hear those lines and I'm like, oh man, because that moment seems so intense, and then they say something where I'm like, oh, I don't feel it now. I don't feel it.
Right.
Like there's some Jesse Eisenberg moments there where he's trying to be like very ominous and villainous, and if he would have said that to me, I don't know. I didn't feel any terror ever from him ever. Like ever at all, like in any way. That felt really forced, and I don't know if that performance itself I didn't like all around. I didn't like the whole thing. There's other performances I like better than others. Ben Affleck's, you know how I felt about it beforehand,
right?
But actually, when I saw the movie, I thought as a Bruce Wayne, I thought he really did very well as a Bruce Wayne. I was like, whoa, when he's at that party, just from the first time that we see him as a Bruce Wayne, I thought, man, hands down, he's probably one of the best Bruce Wayne iterations on screen, I think. And I'm probably gonna get destroyed in the comments, but I don't know. I thought he was pretty good. He's not my favorite Batman, and even he's not my favorite Bruce Wayne, but I'm biased. Keaton all the way. But so, and I didn't have a problem with him killing. I thought I didn't. And then I watched it this time and I was like, man, he's really letting it go.
Brutal, man.
Like, he's really just not even, I thought like the Keaton kind of happens by circumstance, it's like, oh, okay. Like I get it. You're in this space. How are you not going to kill? How is that going to happen? You know what I mean? And so then,
are you talking about the moment where he's like,
yeah. No, and I think I don't know. I think with this movie with BVS, it's like he wants to. It's like he's thirsty from it. You know what I mean? Like he's like I want to like smash these guys in violent, brutal ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I that's not why I hate the movie.
No, I know, but hold on that because we're gonna have a whole Batman section about that because you and I debated last year regarding Batman killing, so we're definitely gonna get back into that. But Angel, I want to hear your thoughts, whether your anger has quelled over the years, the half decade it's been since this film came out originally.
So I think I was just angry that night, or that day of the review, just because, look, it's the first time that we got to see these two characters on the big screen for the first time ever. That only happens once, in cinema history. It only happens once. And the thing is, I've seen so many movies in my life. I know instantly what movies I love and what movies I don't like. You watch RoboCop and there isn't a moment where I don't love. You know what I mean? You just know your own film language in cinema. You watch Bruce Lee as Chen Zhen and it's like, right? There's nothing wrong with those movies. And then it comes to BVS and it's like, I know what I want from these characters. Yeah, exactly. Look at that. The dragon himself. I watched the movie and like I said in that review, and I'm pretty sure if I look back at that review, I'll agree with mostly everything I said in that review. And that's just on the theatrical cut. But the first hour of this movie, I thought was solid. I was completely attached to Ben Affleck's character as Bruce Wayne. I mean, even from the trailers, you watch those trailers, and I mean, if we're talking about a property that is able to put out trailers that are masterful, it's DC. You look at the Man of Steel trailers, you look at the BVS trailers. Those trailers get you hyped. And Ben Affleck's first look as Bruce Wayne, when he's looking at the cowl and you see the rage in his eyes, love it. I think he was incredible as Bruce Wayne. Now, in terms of the writing for the character, I felt like there were some questionable choices, right? I felt like there were some actions that he did that made me scratch my head. And I'm like, okay, like it's so interesting that they're going with this direction. I'm not really sure why. I'm trying to piece it all together. I'm not sure how to respond to it. There's stuff like that, and we'll dive into the specifics later on. But yeah, I don't find myself as angry as I was or disappointed as I was that night, because eventually I watched the Ultimate Edition and I thought it was an improvement. I honestly thought it was an improvement. And I think it went from a disappointing movie to one that is worth a watch. I would tell somebody, hey, BVS Ultimate Edition is worth a watch. You should check it out. You could either like it or not like it, but it's worth a watch to check out these two Titans for the first time in terms of like historic purposes, right?
Right.
That's what I would say. It's an enjoyable watch, I would say, or worth a watch around the B or C area.
The other disappointment about that movie is that we knew that even though it was a rush, we knew that, and this, you know, I don't know if this changes your mind, but I was thinking about it actually, and I was more reminded about it this time, even more so because of WandaVision, because of what we have, even in the CW, you know, this new episode with the Superman that came out.
Oh, man, come on.
You know, like they built something. So, you know, I don't know. I was reminded that this was a stepping stone movie. Even though it was a rush, it was like the stepping stone for the DCEU to sprout. And we were going to get Aquaman and Flash and like all of this Justice League dopeness. And it just, when I saw it, I was like, man, like that's what they're going to do. Like, oh,
right. Yeah.
Man. Like
really, you're starting off a universe. You're starting off a universe and you're
like
taking storylines from the Dark Knight Returns and the Death of Superman.
Yeah.
Merging them together to get the
like,
first Justice League film story that we're now finally getting. But before anything, before we actually get into the nitty gritty, I have to show this major clip right here because I found it from back in that video. Where Angel goes a little ham.
Batman and Superman, right? We see the first time they encounter each other for the first time in this movie. They said two lines. Yeah. Two lines to each other. These were the lines.
And they didn't even make sense.
Yeah.
They didn't even make sense.
The next time that bat light goes up,
the next time
don't go to it. The bat is dead. I'm showing you Mercer. Do you bleed? Superman goes out flying.
Superman,
that's it for the first time that we ever get to see them.
Oh man,
that's what I'm talking about, man.
It pains me to see me in so much pain, but here's the thing though. You have Batman and Superman, you have them in your movie, you own the rights to those characters. I just felt like the lines that they chose to utilize with those characters were very underwhelming because it felt like just short one sentences, whereas we've seen before with these characters who are very intelligent and confident and, you know, very heroic. They have these glorious monologues. They have great banter with one another. And just seeing the relationship here, yes, it's fragile. Yes, Batman hates Superman and stuff like that. But I don't know, just the whole, do you bleed? You will. And then Superman just not respond. I don't know. It just, for me, it was like, that was really underwhelming. But maybe my expectations were just too much. Maybe my expectations were just too much for Superman and Batman, but I don't know.
Well, no, go ahead, Daniel, please.
I'm telling you, dialogue when it's consistently not hitting the mark, like scene after scene, it kind of cripples the movie. And we see it here because the performances are good. Like I do like Cavill as Superman. You know what I mean? I said, Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne, at least I thought was cool. You know, I don't know about his Batman. I liked a lot of other Batman, you know, but Bruce Wayne, he's up there. He delivers, I thought, you know. He gives me the feeling of the animated series
Batman.
Wayne. Yeah, Batman.
Well, what's funny is I feel the opposite way about Cavill, where I'm waiting for more of the Clarkisms, as it were, to show up within his portrayal. I feel like he's a bit stiff in that film, where he's kind of like, well, not everyone agrees with you, Mr. You know, I'm hoping for something a bit more, not goofy, but more less confident than, like, he's trying to square up in that moment with Bruce Wayne. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where Clark Kent, we know he's someone who's very quote unquote unsure of himself. It's an act, you know. He's trying to get people to not think he's Superman. In the scene where he talks to Bruce Wayne, it's like, you're Superman. Why are you going so hard to defend him? Like, do you know him or something? Like, you know what I mean? So I feel the opposite in terms of him. Okay, let's talk about our title characters. Obviously, this is a Batman versus Superman film, so we have to break them down. The one we will start with is obviously Superman. He's the one who had the first film. He is the one who is, for all intents and purposes, kind of an antagonist in this. Yeah. Do you guys agree with that? Who do you think is the main antagonist, if not Superman?
I thought rewatching it, being honest, I think they both are. I can't even tell, to be honest. But if I had to, if someone was like, pick one, who's the antagonist? I'd be like, I kind of felt like Batman a little more, only because whether I thought, yes, Superman was being portrayed as more of an antagonist. Us, the viewers, were seeing what Batman was doing by himself, like going crazy like a madman, like, in his basement, just like, I want to kill this guy. So I think that feeling of his motivation not really making like a whole lot of sense, to actually want to end this guy's life. Like, okay, well,
Kill him,
I don't know. That made me feel like Batman. I guess if I had to lean, I could be like, okay, I guess how like the world right now sees Superman as a bad guy, but we're on the outside looking in. I'm a fly on the wall, so I know Batman right now is acting like a crazy madman. Like, what is wrong with him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least that's how I felt watching the movie.
How do you feel, Angel?
I felt like the antagonist for not loving it, as much as I wanted to. And I'm sure everybody feels that way too. Like, if you love these characters and you come away, feeling disappointed, I feel like the antagonist, man. But no, I agree with Daniel. I definitely do think that they were trying to paint Superman as the antagonist. And I definitely do think that they succeeded, because at the very end of the film, I still felt like he was, for the majority of the world, they saw him as the antagonist still. You did have people, at his memorial and stuff like that. And, his memorial is everywhere you go and stuff like that. But I still felt like the majority of the world still saw him as like an outsider, still saw him as an alien, still saw him as an immigrant who was not welcome here, somebody that they could not trust. But I found some aspects of like Lex Luthor's motivation to try to frame Superman as the antagonist to be interesting, because I feel like that's something that Lex Luthor would want to do because he feels powerless. So how would Lex try to kind of put himself on the same level as Superman? Well, to make him vulnerable. So it would make sense for Lex to frame Superman as the antagonist for the world, because I feel like that's a core thing about Lex. That's what makes him Lex. But for Batman to antagonize Superman for the majority of the movie, I just felt like it didn't really make sense. It didn't really make sense because why? We know Batman as the world's greatest detective, right?
Right.
And I felt like if he would have done a little research or maybe had a conversation with Superman, he would have learned real quick. Hey, you know what? Maybe we are on the same team. Hey, you know what? You are human. Probably more human than I am. I've lost myself. And
you're a good guy. Right.
Yeah, you're a good guy. And also, you're a son. You have parents. Your mother's name is Martha.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of similarities, and I felt like a simple conversation like that from Batman, who I feel like would initiate that in the first place because he is the goddamn Batman. I just felt like it would have solved that problem there, which was one of the main conflicts throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, well, there was an inconsistency in his intelligence, like
in Batman's intelligence.
Yeah, like he knew stuff, but then but
he didn't know more obvious stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But didn't know more obvious stuff. Exactly. That's where I was like, what? Like, I don't understand. Wouldn't you know this if you already know this? Like, I don't know. I just why are you acting
Kryptonite will kill him. But,
yeah.
And then doesn't bother to ask where are you from?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
What are your intentions?
Right. What?
These are the questions that Batman would ask.
It's also very clear that even though Batman in this film, and it's the Superman portion of the discussion, we're talking about Batman, it just shows, that Superman is not really the protagonist of his sequel. It's very clear that Superman is not the one leading the attack on Metropolis, which we should probably start talking at the end of Man of Steel, right? Let's go back to Superman here. At the end of Man of Steel.
Sorry, before you say your point, I wanted to say back to Superman being portrayed as somebody who's an antagonist.
Sure, please.
I felt like the depiction of Superman itself, for me, it didn't feel like Superman. And I think the definitive moment for to support my evidence would be when he says, no one stays good in this world. Mm-hmm. To hear Superman say that, it just, for me, it just didn't. Yeah, for me, it broke my heart. It didn't resonate with me. And for me, it's like, Wow.
Well-
I can't believe I just heard Superman say that.
let's talk about that specifically, because we do have at the end of Man of Steel, right after the Battle of Metropolis, after he kills Zod by snapping neck, right, we are left to believe at the very end that we are on our way to the more hopeful Clark, the optimist Clark, the Clark that we all know, right? The very last moments of that film, he's at the Daily Planet, he's got the glasses, he meets Lois, he smiles at the camera, the music plays, you feel like, okay, he's finally gonna be the Superman we all know. Second film, he's much grimmer. He's much more delved into Zack Snyder's take on quote unquote realism. My question to both of you, I'll start with Angel, is was this a correct next step after something as dreary as Man of Steel?
I don't think so. I mean, if I was handling the universe, I think I would first establish a Batman movie. The DCEU was created to establish the DC universe and to establish these two characters bringing the Justice League together. And for me, if I was writing the ship, I wouldn't utilize storylines from The Dark Knight Returns and the death of Superman for the second film of a brand new vision of a Superman to introduce to new generations. That just wouldn't be that's not what I would do. It was done here, and I felt like because it was done, the execution of it happened. And for me, how I read into it was, this feels rushed. When Superman dies, it didn't impact me as much as it should, as much as it has before, when we've seen him die in the animated, series, when we've seen him die in the comics. Why? Because those moments were earned. We had years of storytelling with Superman, years, and then he died.
And there was enough room within those years of storytelling for him to actually act like Superman, be Superman, have the charm, the wit, the characters and everything, the love with the family. The Superman we left off with in Man of Steel was, he was surrounded by controversy and conflict, which is not a bad thing. You need, like, a character that's criticized for being overpowered needs an internal struggle, obviously. But I feel like you got scenes with the Pa Kent and the tornado, the man of the snapping neck, and the 9/11 times 10 in Man of Steel, and him just letting buildings fall. Like, it's hard to feel that, him killing that African dude at the beginning of the film, like, you know what I mean? It's hard to feel that. I get where you're coming from, because I feel like the movie almost is selling you fear when you look at Superman, because that's a main theme of it.
Yeah.
Daniel, how do you feel?
Well,
my bad. Go ahead, Daniel.
No. So there's a few points that I wanted to make before I forget. So, like, one thing is, sorry to go back, but just really quick, if we're going to the Batman motivation to kill Superman, let's even say we're being biased or whatever, and let's not even agree with our criticism there. Okay, let's say we bought into Batman wanting to kill them. Okay, let's give them that. I won't, and I honestly didn't feel it, but let's just say, like, imagine that we did buy it. I didn't buy the then teaming up. Does that make sense? The then teaming up all of a sudden, their friend, and then literally the next line, I'm a friend of your son's. What? Since when? You go way back 5 minutes? Like, what?
15 minutes.
Yeah, and I try to kill him like 6 minutes before that. We've been friends for 5 minutes, and I had 6 minutes.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, like
it was a 180 turn. It was definitely a 180 turn.
Out of nowhere, there's no context for it. There's no let alone the motivation to kill him. But again, let's say we agree with it, but okay, we agree with it. What? They're friends now? Wait, when? What? Because of, and then you go back and you watch, and it's because he said Martha. Like,
I'm gonna fucking kill. Oh, wait a minute, never mind.
Wait, Martha? Oh, and then there's no they're just all of a sudden friends. And then I didn't get the idea that, like, Superman then. So then we get the context right there. Okay, now they're friends, all right? And then Superman all week is like, I'm gonna go get my mom. And then I was like, wait. If it was that easy to just right now go get your mom, then why did you come to kill Batman anyway? Why didn't you just go get your mom?
Daniel, we will get into that moment. Please go ahead, please.
And so the second point I was going to make is, like, you were talking about the rush. even in a trilogy, just to not seem like we're, you know, like bashing DC,
Right.
even
Yes.
in, and Angel can attest to this. Angel's a Spider-Man like worshiper, right? I mean, if
Worshiper.
he's a worshiper of Peter Parker, right? And
Leads the parade.
Even he will agree in not a second film, but in a trilogy setup where they try to mix too many storylines in a Spider-Man 3 film where, you know, not it's the worst film ever. There's still aspects of that really good, you know, with Tobey Maguire, Sandman and stuff like that. But you can see where it starts falling apart in the third act, that film where it starts feeling rushed, and you can see the studio meddling. And that's what I feel like we saw here, you know what I mean? In a second film, you know, it was like studio meddling, rushed. Let's just make this happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let's just do it. And the other thing
Bring in
about
Doomsday,
yeah, right. And so there was a lot of, you know, like you said, Death of Superman, Dark Knight Returns, all that stuff. And the other point of what you were saying about Man of Steel, that again, you know, you're talking about, do you feel less mad or more mad? And like I said, for this podcast, I went back and watched all the movies, you know, starting with Man of Steel. And no, I'm mad more. I don't know, maybe mad more because I'm like, oh man, maybe I should have been more mad about this, because he had already saved not lesser people, but like lesser value
civilians.
Than your dad. You know, you had already like said, well, F it, and save them. You couldn't save your dad like really quick, you know. That's and you know, they deviate from the obvious death of the comics where it hits hard, where Clark is looking at his dad die because he can't save him from a heart attack, and all he can do is just watch because of his X-ray vision. Wow.
And they do it in Superman and Lois. They do it in Superman and Lois. They do it in a split second. And you can tell the difference. You can tell what affects you more.
Yeah. And plus they do that, and then they go a couple more steps. I'm not going to spoil, but they do something just as big later on in the episode, which will have major ramifications for that character. But one thing, since we are now talking about Superman finally, about one thing I want to talk about, because we all love Superman because of his idealism, because of his optimism, because of his hope. Look at that. You love Christopher Reeve because Christopher Reeve is like everyone's non-prejudicial racist grandfather. You know what I mean? He's the loving old guy who really does care for people.
Love that, man.
Let me go back to this picture of it. Oh shit, not invite. I'm sorry. No, I'm trying to invite someone. No. Let's share the screen. Go back to Superman. Obviously, in this world, and it's set up in Man of Steel, you have a lot of conflict of, should Superman be around? Should he save people? Should he let the kids drown? Maybe, you know, moments like that, which I think were put in there to get the audience to question themselves, right? To really question their values, especially when it comes to someone like Superman, who is the gold standard of superheroes. So Daniel brought up, you know, saving other people other than family, right? He's already doing that. And I feel like Zack Snyder is trying to depict in his films a superhero world that is more quote unquote realistic. So before anything about Superman in this realistic world, how do you feel about that take?
So I will give him that. It is real. It is realistic. We would fear someone like this. We would be, I mean, look, we fear people that are not even of a different race. Like, if we're, you know what I mean? Like, there's the human race, right? I mean, there's like, we're one species. You know what I mean? So there's really just, and we fear people because, you know, whatever different, you know, any long number of list of reasons I can hate you, you know, but, an alien coming with powers like that, not of this earth, and we're supposed to trust him to like police us. I mean, yes, I get it. But the source material's there. I know who Superman is, and although you can introduce things like that, I am down. That's not why I didn't like it. It's even if we agree with that context, you were not consistent. That's my issue. Even within the context of your own film, Superman was inconsistent. He saves kids that are like bullying him. He saves kids that are bullying him, but he won't save his father. Like I don't know. That doesn't make. I don't know. It didn't. It just annoyed me because I was like, oh man, he's gonna save him here, you know, and show him.
Would have been dope.
This is the Superman moment, the moment he becomes who he's supposed to be.
That's what I thought was gonna happen. I was like, oh, this is where he's gonna say, no, Dad, F it.
You're wrong. You are wrong.
You are wrong, and I am Superman.
No, Dad, I love you.
Yeah.
Right. No, Dad, I love you. I love you too much.
Yeah, and then he just doesn't, and then he just dies, and then you're like, and then you're just supposed to accept that it's that inconsistency. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, he doesn't save those kids. He doesn't save people. So then he hasn't saved people. Maybe once, but we've seen him let people die. So then, okay, now he's letting his dad die. Okay, all right, but we didn't see that. Every time there was problems, he saved somebody. And then now his dad's here, and he's even older now where it matters less. And you're not going to save your dad. It just that doesn't make sense to me, whether you like the film or not. That's one part that really kind of like, and I do like a lot about Man of Steel. That's the first time that I thought we got a really, really cool Superman fights. You know what I mean? Like I thought those fight scenes with Superman were so dope, and those blew me away, to be honest. So yeah. I do like the film, but again, the dialogue and the inconsistency within the films of this universe, it's very it's present there, and at least in the two first films, at least in Man of Steel and in BVS, there's like inconsistencies with their actions, with their train of thought, with their, and maybe not, but even their flip-floppiness. And these guys are intelligent guys, and they just, one word switches your whole, like, now from kill to I'm gonna not only not kill you, but I'm your best homie of all time. What? Like, but okay.
One thing about the point in the film, the tornado scene that you brought up, inconsistent, I think, is the perfect word, because it's supposed to be this real take on Superman, right? In the real world, we would never let that happen to our father. We wouldn't. Well, I mean, even if you have problems with your dad, unless you are someone who becomes something like a Homelander, maybe, but he's supposed to be Superman. I just feel like that goes against it. I mean, I don't know anyone who would do that. At least I don't think so.
Who would let someone die that has the power to just be like, oh, I can save you? Like, and it
easily, by the way, easily. Yeah.
Easily. That's what I'm saying. Who would? Right. Who would be like, oh, I can just press this on button, and then the train doesn't hit that person or whatever, but whatever it is, like, oh, I just have to do that. I see something. Oh, who wouldn't? Who would not? And then add that you're Superman. Add that's your dad. And there was just so many levels of depth stacked to why I was like, oh, they're doing it. Because obviously a tornado, if it was a heart attack, I would have been like, oh man, he's going to die. But because it was a tornado, I was like, oh, they're doing it. This is the moment. Let's go. And then I was like, what? Wait, but you saved bullies. What?
He called you Dick Splash and you saved him.
Yeah, what? Come on. Like,
Angel, how do you feel about this?
Well, speaking of all this, like Superman hiding himself from the world, if you watch Superman and Lois, his reasoning for keeping his powers a secret from his children is brilliant. Brilliant. So take a look at Superman and Lois if you want to see, I think, the appropriate way to, just establish that problem, like Superman feeling just nervous about showcasing his powers to the world, and not wanting everybody to find out because it puts his loved ones in danger, not because he cares about how everybody would feel about him. In Man of Steel, I like the take. I like that it was hardcore science fiction, right? I like that we got, like you mentioned, Daniel, those really cool sequences with Superman, that fresh suit, the fight scenes. I think just that attitude of like, I'm not letting anybody touch my mother. Like, you can, like, we all can relate to that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my! When Zod was doing it, I'm not Superman, but I feel like I was running super fast, like about
exactly, like you hear it.
Zod.
The whole execution of that scene. You know, Clark's talking to Lois. Yeah. He looks up. He hears it. Booms. He's out of there because he hears that these goons are messing with his mom, and it ain't happening on his farm. And I love those scenes.
That was awesome.
I love the scenes that you bring up, like when he saves the bullies on the bus. those are my favorite moments in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And can you imagine if we got a whole movie where it's that version of Clark who's like, no, it doesn't matter what my dad says. I'm here to help those in need because I can do it. And that's what's going to happen.
Right.
And nobody's going to stop me.
And then
those are my favorite moments of Man of Steel. And I just wish that whole movie was like that, honestly. But I felt like because they went hardcore sci-fi, they focused way too much on the immigrant aspect and just focused on isolating the character. And so what happens when you isolate the character? Well, then we as an audience, I mean, I'm speaking for myself because I know there's people out there that really love the movie, but I felt alienated to Clark Kent. I felt like I didn't know who Clark Kent was. I felt like Clark Kent didn't know who Clark Kent was. And so I felt like when you have a hardcore sci-fi movie mixing grounded themes, it didn't come together as well as they wanted to. And I just never felt that feeling of just hope itself. And
which is ironic because that's a main theme of the film, which is hope, but it is definitely more of I feel like cynical. I feel like
no, and it sucks. It sucks to say it. It sucks to say it.
Well, I feel like cynical is too harsh a word, but that's how I feel. And Angel is absolutely right. You can't fight that. Like the whole idea of him, I felt like the lesson was missed within Man of Steel and even extended in Batman vs Superman, where it's like, yeah, no, my dad was scared. He was wrong because he was scared. I have a suit, right? I have Lois, right? I have my powers, right? Why am I not doing the right thing? Why am I feeling guilty about saving people? Batman, he really should have looked at Batman like, dude, what are you even doing, bro? Yeah. Like, what you're killing people, dude. What are you even doing?
How great would this have been? You know the technology that Zod used to speak to the whole world? How wonderful would it have been if Superman used it and told the whole world, I'm here to help because I have a purpose, and that purpose is to help every single one of you, and I'm going to do it. And I promise you, I will be here. You will always have Superman.
Well, not even just that technology. Congress.
Yes.
Congress, the scene of I don't want to spoil it, but the scene where he's at Congress and the actress who's from The Incredibles is saying all this stuff about power and it corrupts absolutely, and you did this and you're fucking that and you're a piece of shit in this way. It's like he's not saying anything. Superman's not standing up for himself. Like he doesn't, and I'm not saying like you're wrong or like, threatening or anything like that. He has to defend himself to show, I'm like you. I'm here. I'm not going to take this. I'm not doing anything wrong other than saving people. He did snap Zod's neck, so maybe he doesn't have any room to talk really, but it's kind of messy when it comes to Superman in this film.
So one thing I will say is, it sounds like, we'll say one thing and then we're bashing, but again, I would have been down. I actually, you know me. I just said Keaton's my Batman. I'm not down. I'm not down with superheroes snapping necks. I understand in that capacity, you are saving the entire planet. Okay, whatever. I'll let it slide. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. In that battle, dude, people die in street fights on accident. You know what I mean? You're going to tell me that like sometimes on accident or I'm not forced to have to kill this person. Okay. In this battle for the Earth's existence, like maybe someone might have to die. So I'll let it slide. That's fine. It's consistency. It's even with Man of Steel, even the dad was kind of inconsistent. You get these scenes where he's like, you're special. You're very special, man. And the world's gonna like change your thing. Don't you dare.
Don't do it. Why'd you even tell him, bro? Like, why'd you even tell him what?
Like, it doesn't make it. I'm down. Which one? I'm down as a viewer. I'm down. Which one? Are we hiding? Oh, okay. I'm down. I get that because we can relate. We're down. People have been. Everyone on Earth has been bullied or discriminated or made fun of at some point for something that is they can't control, right? And so, okay, I'm down. Okay, I get what I get. People will not understand. I see that people don't understand, so that makes sense. But then you're telling him he's special and he should be special. And
he's here to do something.
He's here to do something. There's a purpose and whatever.
Right.
Okay, and he already has all those tools. What are we waiting for? What is it? I'm down for a lot of these aspects in the movie. Just pick one. And it felt like the movie was indecisive within itself. Like they wanted to make everyone happy, you know what I mean? And it just, I don't know. It just didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense within, again, the characters didn't make sense within their own motivations. They're flip-floppy, and I didn't really get it, you know, like, okay, you're telling him to hide it. I get that. Okay, so why did you just tell him that he's super special? He has this purpose and this reason, and look at this. And, you know, and shouldn't this be the moment? Like, now I'm Superman or whatever. Like, hey, I'm old enough. I'm a dude now. You know, it wasn't like he was like 5 or 8. I can get that, you know, I understand. But now you're a
Smallville age.
Yeah, you know, like what now? Like now you're a dude, you know?
Angel, one last comment before we get to Batman.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that they antagonize him, right? So that continues from Man of Steel to BVS even more, right? Where we have the whole world, they're trying to figure out who to blame for everything that's happening, and they put all the blame on Superman. Yeah. And like Julius says, he doesn't really even stand up for himself, or most importantly, for the people that believe in him.
Right.
And that includes
the people
me.
He saved, right?
Right.
Okay.
Again, inconsistent. That's okay. Let's say I don't agree with that. I'm with you guys. I don't agree with that. But let's say we agree. Let's say we agree with that. That okay, we agree. We don't, right? But let's say we agree. But then you're gonna hate Batman for going out there and trying his best as a human to do his job.
All right, that's a great segue. Let's talk about the man, Batman. Ben Affleck's Batman.
Look at that first look.
Before anything, obviously we have to start at the beginning. Oh shit.
God damn. Look at that.
We have Ben Affleck announced as Batman. And boy, howdy.
God damn.
The reaction from people. Insane, vitriolic, hateful. I feel like that the reaction of Ben Affleck playing Batman is actually what shaped the characters, what the character ended up being as this very sorrowful, vengeful, no holds bar Batman, willing to kill, had enough, hungry, right? Branding people so that they get killed in prison. This is Batman now. It's a Batman who's been established in this world for about 20 years. He's had a Robin who was killed by the Joker. His parents' death is obviously haunting him still, right? So before anything, I want to ask you, Daniel, and then I'll ask Angel. Do you think that this was the right approach in reintroducing Batman in this world? We obviously had a trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, a couple years beforehand. Now this is Ben Affleck's time to shine, to make a first impression. Was this Dark Knight Returns-esque take on Batman the correct step in approaching Batman in this world?
I don't see anything wrong with it. We've seen Civil War, which was a mediocre comic, but they turned it into a great movie. I feel Guardians, which was a C/D level comic. They took that and they changed the character. Sure, they took the title name and changed, did their variations of it. But I have no problems with them taking this approach, and not to mention this was a successful approach in the animated and in the comics. This was successful. No, I didn't have an issue with it. I just had a problem with the inconsistency. If you do watch Justice League, and you watch beyond this point, I will say all the critique that we are doing, it does set up why he does kill like the aliens and stuff like that, but I feel like he's not branding people anymore after the death of Superman. Right. Does that make sense? So I think maybe I'm not saying
we do have yet to see that in the Snyder cut itself, which is the official sequel.
That's why I'm saying, and I'm not saying I'm even down with it. I'm just trying to not play devil's advocate, but I'm just saying I see the route that they were trying to make. Like maybe maybe if we introduce that he is an older Batman, we do see that Robin that's messed up by Joker. You know, I'm just trying to say all the points that you could say to an understanding of why they took this route of like, he's this gritty and, you know, okay, all right, I'm down, you know, okay, let's see, you know, and then maybe the payoff is that after Superman's death, he's like, no, I have to be
better.
You know, I have to be better. I have to be hope. I have to be what this guy was trying to do. And so then we see that afterwards, you know, was I really down with it wholeheartedly? I don't know, because the execution wasn't really there. But if you're telling me on paper, hey coach, you know, this is the play, this is what we're going with. Hey man, I'm sold. I was down. Yes.
Well, that's the arc question was actually on my notes. How would you describe Batman's arc in the film? But so Angel, how do you feel about this version of Batman? Ben Affleck playing him, being announced. How do you feel?
So when Ben Affleck was announced, I was completely stoked. I love Ben Affleck as a director and an actor. I think the primary example would be, and Daniel and I disagree on this all the time, but The Town. The Town.
No.
You want to see BVS? The real BVS is me and Daniel on The Town.
Oh my God.
Bull versus shit.
Again, in The Town, the same problem. Inconsistency in the motivation. You are a trained bank robber. You've done this millions of times, and you're gonna throw away knowingly. Like, you're gonna be like, even if you love someone, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna throw this all away to love you for like just a moment, because like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense.
As much as I would love to hear that discussion, as much as I would love to hear that debate, Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
Bruce Wayne.
Well, my rebuttal: Stockholm syndrome, and people are dumb. Daniel, all right. No, but so Ben Affleck was announced. I was stoked.
Yeah.
Great talent, I think. Seeing that first look, remarkable. Probably the best Batman has ever looked.
And the fight
ever looked. Exactly. And look, one of the highlights of BVS is Ben Affleck. One of the
I think he's the
highlights
best
of
thing
BVS,
in it, honestly.
Yeah. The warehouse scene is arguably top 5, top 10 comic book moments in a comic book movie.
It is
top 20, top 50 action sequence in a movie. You know what I mean? So he was an absolute standout, I thought. And I love that Daniel earlier mentioned his Bruce Wayne, because I thought his Bruce Wayne was perfect.
Phenomenal.
His Bruce Wayne was somebody who was kind of withered. He was seasoned. He had a history. Yeah. And I just love the idea, like what Daniel was saying, on paper. I love this idea that Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne came out of retirement because he wanted to check Superman and see what his intentions were. And Superman was the being to restore the hope and humanity in Bruce Wayne. That on paper is like, yes, that is a character arc that we're all willing to see. 101. But it was because of the writing choices of his Bruce Wayne Batman and inconsistencies and lack of intelligence, I felt like that kind of just threw that away for me. I felt like that arc should have been Act 1.
Yes.
Superman comes in. We see that Ben Affleck's Batman was part of the destruction. Okay, he's pissed. He has that conversation with Alfred. He is not our enemy. You know, and then Bruce has that like, well, Jason Todd was in my past, or actually it's Dick. It's Dick Grayson actually. He has that moment, right? And then when he finally has that first conversation with Superman, if it ever happened, that's when the hope would be restored in him, and he'd be like, "Oh my God, I understand you. I know who you are, and I want to fight along your side." You know, I felt like it should have happened earlier, and because it was dragged out, for me, I lost interest, to be honest.
And then they have that I was gonna mention that everyone gets out of the scene, out of his building, the Wayne building in Metropolis, I guess, or
right.
Whatever, he's there, but Jack stays. I don't know. I was like, why are you just on the top floor? And you're like, they know it to. Everyone else was able to get out, and the entire building,
except for this old guy.
Yeah, you're not a captain. This is not a boat. You don't go down with the skyscraper. Like, that's not a rule. No one will disrespect your.
Yeah. It was like Titanic when they when they're playing violins.
The violins.
and then now Bruce Wayne is so mad, and it's like, okay, you know what? Next time, Superman just lets Zod
destroy everything.
Earth.
Right.
Like, you smart guy. You know what I mean? Like, what? I'm not Bruce Wayne level genius, and you can't see that this dude, if he did nothing, that we would be in way worse like problems, you know, especially after Zod showed that he couldn't be trusted, that he was going to enslave the earth either way with you know, and we only got saved. The earth was only saved because he took Lewis, right, on the plane, on the ship, and then Lewis was able to kind of do her thing with the key and everything. But
Batman is so sophisticated to know enough that if he thought Superman was a threat, he wouldn't tell him.
Yeah,
he wouldn't tell him. You watch Justice League Doom, and you see Batman take on the whole Justice League, and you see that he is so smart that he ain't gonna tell him, because if he did, then there's a chance that they could beat him. But Batman is somebody that's not going to let that chance happen. You know, if it's an absolute certainty, then he would act upon, I'm not going to tell you so that I can take you down if that needs to happen, because I'm the Batman.
That needs to happen. Exactly.
This is obvious. This is obviously a Batman who is very unhinged. Him killing was very controversial when that happened. Obviously, we've had films in the past where Batman has killed arguably accidentally, and I feel like the reason why it became such a problem for fans is because we are in a new day. We're not back in the 80s where killing wasn't the first thing on the directors and writers' mind, right?
Dead or alive, you're coming with me, Julius.
Right. I mean, that was the age of RoboCop.
And I am, you know, a fan of the Keaton Batman. You all know that's my Batman, and he kills, you know, and so it's not a problem. Again, it's just the consistency.
Well, it's a problem. It's a problem.
It's
an ethical and moral problem, especially in a film where it's about him learning to be more of the optimist and believer in humanity.
Oh yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. So even like, I don't agree, right? But even within the context of its own film, that's inconsistent, right? It's like it's just inconsistent. So, and they try to make it with a payoff, you know, Superman's death. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I see the arc in this entire universe, but is it executed well? No, because it's the motivation to want to kill him in the first place. I don't buy it. Them teaming up, I don't buy it, you know? So no, that arc, I don't buy the climb, and I don't buy the climax. I don't buy the whole, you know what I mean? I don't.
If this Batman kills, then why is the Joker still around? Why are any of the villains still around? Why are any of the rogues still around? You know what I mean? And that's just another example of inconsistency. If they're gonna go with that arc, if they're gonna throw away Under the Red Hood storylines, if they're gonna throw away, if they're willing to throw away the rogues themselves, you know, why is the Joker still around?
Why? He's way worse than these goons. That are just like yes, I'm not defending them, but you know, maybe a circumstance of environment, and they get led into this life, and so they're a henchman, versus like these global villains. And I do think there are levels to this in the real world. Like, if you have powers like Superman, or with great power comes great responsibility, eventually I think yes, there is a problem, you know, but I think eventually, when you are clearly the only one with like basically the off switch to off these people, and or these like basically supernatural threats, they're not humans that really deserve trial. I mean, these are alien beings, super beings, like crazy on the level of like, now they're hurting mass people and have been hurting people for years, and you're gonna hurt the henchman that's like trying to make ends meet and getting paid by these guys, but these guys are off limits, you know, and they're allowed to kill your sidekick, your basically your son, you know,
Well, doesn't the Ultimate Cut get more into the bystanders of Batman's violence? I'm sure I've seen a deleted scene where you see a family, like a wife and child of the guy who's branded at the beginning. He gets killed in prison. Does it get into any more of that?
They do. So there's a scene where he, you know, Clark is looking for what happened. So he gets pictures on his desk of the Polaroid of the guy that's branded, and the question mark, like justice question mark, and the guy's dead now because he got stabbed for being branded, right? And being branded like with a bat. And he's just a henchman, but he knew he was gonna die. They're putting him in prison, and he's like, dude, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get stabbed. Like, you can't put me in there. Put me in solitary, whatever. But they put him on the guard. some guy comes out right away in the first second, and you know it's gonna happen. And he's like, "Oh, what happened?" And then he stabs him. Anyways, that guy, they get picture of his death on Clark's desk. He goes and he tries to get the information, and he asks, "Oh, hey, can I get the information?" The cop is obviously like, "No, I can't." But another cop is like, "Hey, look, the wife is right there. Like, go, you know." He nods over at the wife, like that's the wife. So picking up his stuff. So he goes and he talks to her, and there's a little exchange where he says like, "Hey, you know what happened?" And he's like, "That guy, Batman won't stop with words. Like he needs to be stopped with a fist, you know." And like, you know, he was just a guy. Like he was just like a gang member. He was also a dad too, you know, and all this other stuff. And so but again, it's not really. It didn't hit me as I get it, and it does add context, you know. But do you feel it? Do you feel like you don't feel nothing from these scenes? You know what I mean? I don't know. It just
Angel, do you feel differently? Because you've also watched the Ultimate Cut.
Yeah, I love that one of the highlights of the Ultimate Cut is that they add Superman being super as Clark Kent. Right, so he's investigating what's going on with the Batman. He's talking to citizens of Gotham and how they feel about the Batman, and he gets answers. You know, they basically all say that we live in fear because of Batman. And like Daniel mentioned, when you get a brand, that's basically a death sentence, right? So Batman is acting like judge, jury, and executioner, and that's the take that they wanted to take with this Batman who is feeling powerless, who is feeling, you know, rageful, which turns good men into cruel men, like what Alfred says. And I think that makes sense, right? So it makes sense for Batman to go down this path and to lose himself if losing Robin was so devastating, right? Was so devastating that he needed to kill everybody that he engages with. Right. That's cool or whatever. But I just wish the movie focused on the consequences of that, because I never felt like Batman really kind of felt any remorse for taking the lives that he did in that film.
I agree.
And, you know, Daniel mentions that he takes out goons. Yes, he does, in very gruesome ways.
Brutal ways.
Very, very gruesome and graphic ways.
Actually, quite shocking ways, the way he does. Like, there's the Batmobile chase, which actually does come off a bit comical, the way that it's like as if someone with the approved R rating, right, said, "What are the most effed up ways that I could get Batman to kill these people with the Batmobile?" Like he attaches like the string to one of the vans. It starts waving all over the place. He literally jumps through a wall with his Batmobile, crushing a dude in the back of a truck. Like I remember in the theater, I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute, this is
wait a minute.
Like, this is Batman? Like, what's Batman doing?
No, yeah, same here.
Dude, imagine one guy in the back, like he's just driving. He's like, wait, what's that? No, he's like listening to like Garfunkel, Simon and Garfunkel. What's that in the
It's just so crazy. I just feel like Batman, if he is treated as judge, jury, and executioner, for me, it's just really jarring, because I feel like that version of Batman belongs in the past. You know, I love Michael Keaton as well. I do, Daniel. Trust me, I do. I love him, and I love those films.
I was born in '85, Angel. You don't know what it was like back then. It's a dry spell.
I feel like Batman has.
We found oil with Batman in '89, bitch.
He's transcended that version. You know, I feel like, yes, I'm okay with judge, jury, and executioner when it comes to RoboCop, when it comes to Judge Dredd, right? But I feel like even those methods, although they're awesome, right, in those movies, I feel that's not ideal. That's not the ideal version of what justice can be. And so now, after Christopher Nolan's world, after, you know, the DC animated universe and how they handled Batman, I feel the ideal Batman symbol of hope, the knight, the justice, vengeance, is somebody who's able to obtain what that Batman in the past could do, except without killing. Mm-hmm. That to me, just it's cooler. You know, it's more heroic.
And plus,
I feel like what a world that would be if Batman is able to be the singular hero out of everybody, to not break that code because he's just so damn sick.
And plus, at the point where he starts killing, he is a criminal. Yeah. At that point, he is not a superhero. He's not. He should. honestly, anyone who was really changed, if you were killing and you were changed by Superman, you'd turn yourself in. You wouldn't be like, I'm off to make the Justice League. No, dude, you turn yourself in. Why? Because that's
like,
what
to play devil's
Superman
advocate
would do.
To play devil's
please.
advocate on that, so like, say someone were to say, but what about Captain America and how he kills in the MCU? Do you feel that differs, or Iron Man? Do you feel that differs with Batman killing, or is it the way that
there's
they
accountability
kill somebody?
there?
No, I think the difference is this. I think what you said is I don't know if this is what you're saying, but the way I took it is the ideal. Yes, like if we're hoping for the perfect ideal of what the bat symbol stands for and what his whole mission stands for, ideally, yes, we don't want him to kill, right? Because we want him to stand for what he's saying he stands for and whatever. I'm just saying, as a citizen, like, I've seen humans in real life situations where they're really defending themselves and the only real option is to kill. So I'm just saying, as a citizen, upping the scale, even if I'm going to agree with it down here, then definitely on a level where it's global or my entire city is going to die or all these civilians, then if he is going to kill, I'm not going to be like, you jerk. I'll be like, man, I wish he didn't, because I wish he would have stuck with what he was saying. That would have been so cool. Like you're saying, that would have been cooler. But I'm not going to be mad at him if the Joker dies in a battle with Batman. I'm not going to be like, you asshole. Oh, no. You know, I'm going to be like, Joker was trying to end us all. And a police officer who's much less would have shot him, and I would have been okay with that because he's a police officer wearing a badge, and that's okay. And I get Batman is not that, but Batman is the only one that's able to even pull the trigger on somebody like that. So is the ideal the right way? Yes. If I had a gunpoint, like, what would you prefer? I would prefer he sticks to his ideal and he obtains victory without killing his opponent. That would be awesome.
But I feel like that leads to inconsistency as well. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I feel like that leads to inconsistency in the film as well, because the film ideally is about a Batman who, because of his meeting with Superman, becomes more of what a hero is in what Superman's eyes.
True.
But I mean, well, for one thing, he's killing just henchmen, like what we've established. He's killing like the day-to-day henchmen who, yeah, they're gang members and everything, but they're not doing shit like what the Joker is, where Joker is an anarchist. And plus, after Batman spares the life of Superman, right? He says, okay, I'm changed, right? Martha, right? He's human, just like me. He goes on to kill even more people to save his mother. So it's like, so the arc is diffused at that point.
Yes.
So that's another example of inconsistency within the film.
It's hypocritical.
It is.
Do you think it might have taken the death of Superman for him to not kill? So maybe not him meeting and Martha is what made him not kill, but maybe him dying and then being like, okay, maybe now I shouldn't kill.
Well, possibly. We'll have to see in the new film.
It should have been him self-reflecting on what he's experienced as a kid. How did I even become Batman? Well, I was traumatized by somebody killing my parents. Do I want to inflict the same pain on somebody else? You know, that person that he got killed by branding them, they have a family too. They had a kid, you know, so it's like, it throws me off.
It makes him less relatable as a protagonist, which he's definitely the protagonist of this film. It's his story beginning to very end, you know, opens up with his origin, opens up or ends with where he's going to be going.
But again, I think you guys would have been, I mean, maybe not the level that he killed, dude, because he's threatening the city himself with that car swinging around. How many civilians just died? You know, like
he's got his own like equipment.
Yeah,
military grade equipment. That Batmobile, the shit he had in Justice League, our military doesn't have that.
It's crazy.
Imagine Travis Bickle with that.
The way he breaks into LexCorp to get the kryptonite is insane, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't know. I thought that level of not caring, of like not even, what are you trying to save at this point? Like, you're trying to save human beings, like you're trying to save like the good people, the civilians, but driving around with that car, like just running into buildings and destroying property and like killing maybe people going for a night walk. Like, what the heck? You know, I don't know. It's
even
just like,
the opening, with the first scene we have with Batman, and where you see these women, they're trapped, they're jailed, and everything. The cop comes in, and he's just there, like he's not even a hero at that point. He didn't just save them, really. He's like, these women are traumatized because Batman is there. You know what I mean? And I understand this is like we said, this is a Batman that is at the edge, right? This is a Batman that is much darker than where you probably started, but it just makes him less. I don't look at him. I don't know. I don't know how.
No, so that's what I was gonna
Angel,
say.
how do you feel?
I don't think it's necessarily that he kills. I think it's more his inconsistency. Again, you guys. Well, I don't know about Julius, but I know you guys are a fan of the Keaton Batman. I'm sure the first film at least. You know, and he kills in that film. But there's like not these really emphasized points where you can kind of point like, wait, what? But that doesn't make sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? If Punisher, we like Punisher. You know what I mean? We like Captain America, like you said. It's not. Yes, do we prefer a hero that can stick to his guns and really put the handcuffs on somebody? Yes, that's it. But we're not going to be against heroes that have to do what they have to do. You know, just be consistent with your thought. And in this movie, I think the inconsistency makes us feel like we're just not going to be okay with him killing at all. But we can point to the past with Batmans that have killed, and we were cool with the movie. You know what I mean? So I think, again, inconsistency in a lot of ways destroys, you know, a lot of aspects of these films, you know? So that's how I feel, you know. But
the thing with Keaton, I always felt like it was never really like, I am going out to intentionally kill these criminals.
That's what I'm saying.
For me, it was always, I'm intentionally going out to save people. And in these circumstances, you're gonna point your gun at me. Sorry, that was your choice that you made.
Aside from Batman Returns.
I mean,
that's where it doesn't work, you know.
But then you have Ben Affleck's Batman, where I felt like intentionally he went out, he would brand these people, and he knew what the brand meant. He knew what the brand meant. The brand was basically a trademark to sign your death certificate, and he would give those out. He would hand them out like candy. And so I felt like that is him intentionally acting like judge, jury, and executioner. And that's just kind of where I fell off with his character.
Well, there's the moment where Batman looks at what he did, and said that was wrong. Well, because I feel like he's a hero. He's going to be in the Justice League. He's meeting with Superman. There's got to be a moment for the viewer where he acknowledges he was wrong. And maybe you could say the moment where he doesn't kill Superman, right? That's the moment where he decided he was wrong. However, the scene following, he decides to kill a whole warehouse of dudes, and in ways that are, it's great choreography, and it's maybe some of the best Batman fighting we've ever seen until maybe the Batman with Robert Pattinson. However, he's still like killing people. Like, he uses a gun in that scene. I mean, and we will get to the nightmare portions in a little bit.
But so again, just like Superman not saving his dad, here again we're inconsistent, right? Where Batman is like so mad at Superman for collateral damage, but is going out himself for years now doing collateral like killing people, really branding people, not really caring about life. But you're mad to the point that you're gonna kill this other guy that kind of had to kill an alien being that was gonna enslave the earth. But you're over here killing like dad trying to like get some meat on some table. You know what I mean? So, like what?
Yeah. It's like what Angel said. It's hypocritical.
Yeah,
and that's the problem going into this battle. The whole setup of them fighting each other, the conflict is backwards, unfortunately, because one guy killed someone and got, shit for it, and one guy keeps killing people and is getting away with it,
and is mad at the other guy for like what? And they're both mad at each other, right? They're like, what? You're going out and you're doing this, like, but I can only do this, and then you're like, what? No, I'm down.
And also at the very end, he goes, I thought she was with you. And you look at the relationship between Bruce and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't his Batman treat her like a threat as well?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, you know why.
I don't know.
Did you see her? I mean, that's why.
No, but it doesn't. That's also they're almost the same power set, right? It doesn't make any sense.
And she's been around longer than him.
Yeah, right. So it just doesn't make it. Again, I'm down. I would have been down. Hey, Batman, you're old and withered, and I get you're going for an arc where it's gonna hit me hard when you don't kill anymore again, and you go back to your ideals. You're like, oh yeah, what was I doing? Okay, I'm down. Just be consistent in that. Just be consistent in that. Don't.
The writing is definitely a big, it's delicate, a situation like that. And you have to be delicate when writing a story so heavily involved with morality as this one is. And they're like as delicate as a sledgehammer with some of the scenes that they have, it's insane.
But here's the thing about the arc as well. Him crossing that line, it never feels the same, even if he reverts back to his old ways.
Yeah, it
because he already crossed that line. It's like what Bruce Greenwood says as Batman in Under the Red Hood. Once you cross that line, there's no coming back, and it's true. There is no coming back because we saw you do what you did, kill those people. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you instill that code of law again.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work that way, and so that's why I hope Matt Reeves will establish that rule, and Pattinson's will never ever cross that line, even when someone like the Riddler will test him to the max.
Wow, and that the stakes will be high there, and so but the thing is about the inconsistency is, as a viewer, you don't know. Even okay, let's say you're a Batman fan, let's say you're a Superman fan, even with either or, how do you get invested? You're invested in one train of thought, and then he flip-flops to the other one, and then he flip-flops again, and then I'm like, hey, no, I'm down with what you got to do. Wait, but you're mad at Batman for doing this lesser stuff? Wait.
Well, let's talk about the conflict. Let's talk about the conflict between both characters. Obviously, Batman and Superman are some of the most iconic figures in comics because they are such opposites of each other. However, in this film, I feel like they're going out of their way to show how similar they are in terms of their darkness, their hopelessness within humanity. You have Superman who's being criticized by the whole world. You have Batman who's given up on the whole world. And they come together, hopefully becoming more humanists by the end, at least in theory. As on paper, that's great. But they're very they're too similar in my opinion. Usually whenever we see Batman and Superman, they are night and day to each other. You have the dark one, the one who's given up on everything, who's still haunted by his past, whereas Superman is the one who's learned to move on, who understands that there are people who need help, and me holding on to my tragedy, it will hold me back.
So what about this take? And this is a coulda, woulda, shoulda moment. So
okay, let's
don't even but they already established a Superman that was kind of dark and kind of brooding, right? Okay, I'm down because I get again. If it was consistent, let's say they pulled it off correctly, I'm down. I get it. We've all related where people can be seen outcasted for being an immigrant. We've seen that, or for whatever reason. You don't have to be an immigrant, but for whatever reason, you're outcast, right? So we can all relate to that. Wouldn't have been cool, and they would have never gone with this, especially because they got Ben Affleck. You know what I mean? Or Affleck, whatever. But Affleck,
whatever that guy's name is,
whatever his name is. But what if they would have went like Bruce Wayne-ish from the animated series, but with like more upbeat Batman, like an Adam West. So like, yes, he doesn't kill, and like he's Batman is uplifted and hopeful, and Superman is kind of like, hey man, I've had to be outcasted for just doing the right thing, and Batman's like, well, I don't kill, man, and I never will. I don't care how much you test me.
Groovy.
Like that would have been, but at least it would have been a different take. A contrast would have existed, and if they would have been consistent again, I would have been down. Again, kill, no kill, just be consistent. Hate Superman, don't hate Superman, just be consistent in your thought. That's all.
Hey, like Superman, you got weed? It'd be cooler if you did. Chill Batman, I'm totally down for that. He could have been wearing that exact Adam West costume. It would have been great.
I like that costume. Go on.
That's one of my favorite costumes.
It's so good. I like that one. Yeah.
And I think that would be the scariest one in real life. If you see some dude just running around in that costume at night, a criminal breaking into a house, and then a dude shows up like that right behind you.
So I always imagine, I will say this about that Adam West, you know, we're comic book fans and we always just get still panels, right?
Yes.
So our imagination fills in the blank. So even when you watch something like Adam West, you know, he's doing the kapow and whatever, and he's moving however he is. But my imagination fills in the blank that he is at the level of every other Batman. Like their skill sets are the same. Like he can still overcome those level of bad guys just like every other Batman. You know what I mean? Like they're all the same. They're all Batman. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if it's Adam West or like Christian Bale. They're all Batman. They all get it. You know? So it's
yeah. I mean, whenever he punches someone, reality shifts into a word.
No other Batman can do that.
No other Batman can do that. OP prep time maybe. Angel, how do you feel about the conflict? Is it working in Batman vs Superman? Do you like that they're trying to be similar in this film? How do you feel about it?
I just feel like Batman and Superman, they always have to be contrasts of each other. That's exactly what the characters are. They're contrasts of each other. They're opposites, but they still want the same goal. You know, Batman is somebody who gives off fear on all his enemies. Superman, you know, he'll do the same, but I feel like universally he's seen as that figure of hope. Batman is seen as that figure of fear, but he still tries to attain justice and hope simultaneously as well. I think that's what makes him special. They're on the opposite sides, but they're kind of one and the same, and that's what makes them so beautiful.
It's what makes them the world's finest. Go ahead.
Although he does rule off fear, it's a good point. They are different but want the same thing. There have been moments where, although Batman gets his mission done through instilling fear, he will give sometimes he will give the villain a chance to redeem himself or whatever, and they usually don't. You know, we get those moments, but Batman, being as dark as he is, will give the villain a chance to redeem himself. Superman, his intention and his mission is kind of intended by and driven by hope, but he also will get those points where he gives the villain a chance to redeem himself or whatever. So I think they're the same. They all want the same thing, but they you know, one does it through fear because he has to, because he's a human. So he has to use kind of like, you know, like, hey, I'm fighting you before I'm fighting you too. Like you have to have me on your mind even when I'm not out there working.
Theatricality and deception.
So exactly. I don't have superpowers. I mean, so I have to be I have to instill that much fear in you. You know, Superman's like, I can chill, man. Yeah, of course you can chill. You can fly and no one can kill you. So like,
it's my life.
Yeah, like every time I go out there, man, I'm like, man, like,
yeah.
And you're Superman, give me your powers. I'll be happy too, dude.
And I just love that. I just love that vibe that Batman can have. It's like very smug, you know. He knows that he is inferior. He knows he's at the top of the food chain. He's just not going to project it all the time.
I don't know about all that.
But I
he
definitely
pisses off Superman. Batman is like next week's dinner.
No, Batman's winning. No, but I always felt Batman was an empathetic hero as well. When I read The Long Halloween, there's a scene between him and Solomon Grundy, and I was very impressed with the writing there, because in those moments I would expect Batman to beat Solomon Grundy to a pulp, but no, he actually asks like Solomon, like, you know, do you need a friend or do you need somebody to be here with you? And he ends up having like dinner with him, like Thanksgiving dinner. And seeing that moment with that Batman, I was like, and that Batman is very intimidating, but seeing that he's actually willing to like be there even for a villain, it shows just how I think just how big Batman's heart can be when he's willing to rehabilitate his villains, because I think that's ultimately his goal, to cleanse Gotham of not just enemies, but also that feeling of disgust, fear, and hopelessness.
And that's why, we all make fun, right? We all make fun. Like I like Keaton, and I don't have a problem with with Batman doing his thing. But I prefer a Batman that doesn't, right? I prefer a Batman that doesn't kill because the stakes are much higher. We've all seen those stories are better. They are better. If we go back in his, if we look at the track record, the runs where he doesn't kill are better. They're just better. And so, I prefer that. I'm just saying, like, if I lived in Gotham, you know what I mean? Like, that's my.
Well, if you lived in Gotham, there wouldn't be a Batman because there would be no crime. Because somehow the Punisher got into the DC universe.
It would be RoboCop. No, Daniel would be RoboCop in Gotham.
Daniel's got his tinfoil helmet.
Yeah,
Dead or alive, SA. You coming with me?
I'd be RoboCop because I would definitely die first. I'd go out there and die first. Like,
I'm gonna Photoshop
Dude, the
that
water
now.
almost came out of my nose, bro.
Daniel's head on the nugget of a body.
I'm just saying, like if I was sitting with my homie and then we saw the news and be like, oh man, Batman finally kills Joker, and then he's like, dude, what a jerk. I'd smack him like, what? I mean, what are you doing? What are you talking about? That dude's killed for decades. What are you doing? Like, okay, do we prefer that you would have brought him in safely and answered for his crimes and say what the heck is going on? Yes, I prefer that. But you're yelling at the guy. You hate the guy now. Now you want to kill him because this other guy's been killing for years, and you're like, oh, that's just what he does. This guy kills once, and it's a guy that's been killing for years, and you're like, damn that guy.
Daniel, we did the debate, man. Don't make me body you over Zoom. Yeah. Come on now.
No, I'm saying me. That's why the friend can have can hate Batman for that. I just think it's silly after
it's too late.
Don't you hate like you
kiss my ass now before I throw battering at you.
I'm just saying, like, real fights, man. Anything can happen. This guy's fighting super villains, like
Darkseid. He better kill Dark.
Well, you brought up super villains. Let's talk about your boy.
Let's go.
Mr. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. The antagonist, I will say. We were talking about earlier who's the real antagonist, Batman or Superman. It's obviously Lex Luthor. He's the one pulling the strings. He's the one sending the letters to Bruce Wayne. He's the one who figured out off screen that Clark Kent and Superman were the same person. Okay, so Jesse Eisenberg is cast as Lex Luthor. And obviously it gets comic fans thinking, oh boy. The fan cast was Bryan Cranston as Lex Luthor. There's a fan trailer out there of Batman vs. Superman, and they imported footage from Breaking Bad and audio from Breaking Bad, and it was perfect, right? Everyone was like, yes, 10 out of 10. The movie's already 10 out of 10 because of this fan trailer.
Right.
You get not Heisenberg, you get Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. What were your guys' first reactions to hearing about this casting? And I'll start because I know Daniel's going to go on the time rate. I'm going to start with Angel.
Yeah.
So Jesse Eisenberg was announced. I think my initial reaction was, I did not see that coming at all. I don't see it at all. But then I gave it more thought, and I was like, okay, they're definitely going with a different take on Lex Luthor. They're most likely going with that social network, Mark Zuckerberg type of Lex Luthor. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking, okay, I'm interested to see how that's going to work with this version of Superman. So those were my initial reactions to Jesse Eisenberg. I like him as an actor. I think he is phenomenal in The Social Network. And I think when he's given the right material, he can be a strong actor.
Sorry, Daniel's making all these faces.
Hey, it's true though. It's true. Facts.
So one thing I will say is, first, where's the Bryan Cranston Stan Lee movie? You know what I mean?
That could be. I want that on Disney Plus exclusive. Yeah. Let's go.
Where is that?
Excelsior.
Yeah.
Or else.
He'd kill it.
Say my name.
So anyways, yeah, I at first, was not down at all, but Heath Ledger has humbled me in that way where I didn't expect a good performance, and you know, R.I.P. Heath Ledger. But after that, it's kind of like, wow, you know, people that really can't expect not only can deliver, but the best performance I've ever seen on screen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. So you have to give people the chance. And then I also thought, okay, you know, maybe I'm not fully down, but I haven't seen it yet. The trailer looks cool, you know, and I'm not fully down, but they're trying to establish a universe. So going with a younger. I'm
sorry, Dan. I don't mean to cut you off, but I had to show this photo.
It's hilarious, but I just think powder in the house. Powder in the house.
Shout out to Powder. Oh my God.
All the Powder fans out there, let us know in the comments.
He looks like the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos.
Oh, dude, as Powder.
That is Powder. God, you just ruined BVS for me. I'm just gonna think Powder.
No, but it's just you know, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because I thought, okay, he is younger, so you can have more movies. You can, you know, as he gets older, okay, I get it. Maybe he gets darker. Maybe he gets, you know, not as goofy. But it wasn't even that. I just, even as the character, like you're saying, even as a social network type guy, like I didn't get that feeling like you're threatening at all. And yes, he does threatening things and he succeeds. He gets stuff done. It's not like he's not a successful villain. He's actually one of the more successful villains when talking about villains in movies. You know, he actually kind of accomplishes his goals.
Got the job done.
Yeah, he does actually. He sets out and he kind of does it, you know. And so
Superman killed,
so that's, you know, that's cool and I guess menacing because, you know, he gets the job done, but for some reason he just didn't portray that villainous, like his line again. It could, again, maybe it's not his fault, you know, like you said, the performance, whatever, but the lines, like they weren't scary. Like when he's talking to the girl, like, you know, the lady, the senator or whatever her name is, and it's just like that's not scary. And he says these lines like, oh, we know now, devils, it should be upside down. Devils come from the sky, not from the ground. Like, ooh, like, I don't know. I was like,
if man won't kill God, the devil will do it.
But yeah, I just thought there was like lines where I thought they were supposed to be cool and they weren't.
Or
you know,
insightful or, you know, thorough.
Yes, like a villain, you know, like when a villain says something and you're like, oh man, like, you know, like, dang it, you know. But
you mean that scene where he's giving his speech at his benefit?
Yeah, and it's paradoxical. Thanks for coming. Like, what? Like, dude, I'm leaving. Like, if we
hope the bar is full service tonight. Come on.
If we were sitting there, I'd be like, dude, okay, you know. If I was with like my chick or my homies, I'd be like, all right, dude, we gotta go, man.
Free food, we're out.
Be like, bro, Daniel, steal a bottle of wine. Let's get the fuck.
Or maybe stay and see if he has a whole meltdown, and be like, oh, maybe we should stay and wait.
like the Tom Cruise meltdown. So the tabloid or something.
Yeah, you know.
So we totally got what they were going for with his Lex. They were going for that Mark Zuckerberg, somebody who just thinks he's just the smartest person in the room. But it just didn't work, I would say. I think there were a lot of the lines that were hit and miss. For example, just that whole scene with him and the Jolly Rancher thing. It's moments like that where I'm just like, what is this? Like, what is this? Lex Luthor is somebody who's supposed to be confident, charismatic, an intimidating presence, somebody that other people respect and would kind of probably walk away from because they are so just nervous about kind of looking foolish around him. That's who I feel like Lex Luthor is. I feel like they chose to go with that Mark Zuckerberg kind of version because they wanted to get somebody who was a complete contrast to Henry Cavill. Why? Because Lex Luthor's version was supposed to feel powerless. So I like the idea. It's the execution that I just felt was completely off. I would say my favorite line, though, from Lex Luthor was when he was like, if God is all powerful, then he can't be all good. And if he's all good, then he can't be all powerful. I felt like that line. I actually like that line a lot because
that is a good line.
It led to himself to think, this is why I'm going to kidnap his mother and try to frame Superman and try to get him killed because I want to prove that I'm the one in charge. I want to prove that me, a human being, is not inferior just because this alien shows up. That to me reads like Lex for sure. It's the performance that I felt probably was just off.
Well, look, if you're gonna say all that shit, you better have some kryptonite on your hand. Yeah, I mean, 'cause he's either really brave or really stupid to go up to Superman looking the way he does, doing all this twitching shit without any rock. All right, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about Lex Luthor. Let's talk about now.
Yeah, Lex was crazy.
No share screen for you. Let's talk about a moment that is just as controversial as the depiction of Lex as Batman. And it is Martha. Okay, so we have the moment where they fight. It's very quick, relatively speaking. The fight itself is pretty quick. What is it, like maybe 5 minutes, 7 minutes?
If that 5 minutes, I would say.
I don't imagine that the Ultimate Cut extends it at all.
Does it a little? It did feel a little longer, but I don't know. Can't remember if they added anything really. I don't think they do. No, they don't really.
I don't think they do.
Okay.
No, they don't. It's
So we have the build up to the 5 minute fight between Batman and Superman. It's what everyone's waiting for. He's got the armor on. Everyone's been waiting to see the armor, to see them fight. And we get to the moment where Superman is pinned down. Batman brings out that kryptonite spear and he's ready to do it. He's going to kill him. And then Cal says, "Save Martha." And that's when Batman, it's turned into a meme, which is unfortunate for the film, but he says, "Why did you say that name?" And we get a flashback to Thomas Wayne's last words, which were Martha. And this was a moment, ideally, where Batman realizes that Superman is human, maybe not in nature, but in upbringing as a man. He's a person, and he should not kill him because he understands now what he represents to the world. So, Daniel, Powder, I want to hear your thoughts on this moment with Martha.
It was kind of one of those like, wait, what? Like, and then you're trying to go back in your head in the movie. Maybe you missed something. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I felt when I first watched it. I was like, wait, what? What does that mean? Wait, what? Like, and then I get it, but I thought maybe there was something else that meant something, you know, not just it on its own, but maybe I missed something or I misunderstood something. That's how I felt. I was confused. I was like, I get it. Now he likes him, but what happened? But why? Wait, what? Because of Martha, this dude's offing dudes. I get the context. He's an alien. He's offing henchmen. Now he's going to off this alien with the power to kill the whole earth. Okay, I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. And then now he says, Martha, you don't want to kill him? But what about the other guy that you branded last week? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It didn't. I was left scratching my head like either I missed something or again, this is inconsistent. And it just, again, if we are gonna buy the whatever you want to buy, like his motivation to go out and basically bloodlust in a bloodlust manner kill all these villains, which even if you say it's okay for Batman to kill, but the manner in which he does it in this film, it's like even for somebody to be like, hey, I agree with that take, like. But how can you agree with this way of violence, though? It's endangering the very people that you're saying the killing is supposed to protect.
Right. The excessive nature.
So that doesn't make sense, right?
Killing, yeah.
So even if you are down with a Batman that kills, this way that doesn't even make sense. Because at that point, it's like, wait, but you're supposed to be killing to save innocent people. This way, you don't even care. It seems like you don't really care about any ideal. You're not really standing for anything, and that doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? So so and it hurts more in this moment because this is a climactic moment. This is supposed to be a turning point in the film, and if it's based on nothing, right? There's no, again, I couldn't be invested in one way or another because it seemed like the characters themselves weren't invested in their own ideals one way or another. you know? So for me as a viewer, I couldn't pick a side because they couldn't pick a side. So then I was like, wait, what? So then when that moment hits, I'm like, okay, so which side are you with now? Which side are you doubling down on? Which now? Like, so where are we at now? Where you guys are homies? And then, like I said, the very next scene, he saves the mom in this brutal way, right? Which is okay. Let's say again, we're down with that. I'm a friend of your son's, like, you know.
I could tell by the cape. Right.
Yeah, I can tell by the cape and the you know, everyone else is terrified. I get it. She knows Superman, so she's not scared of things. She saw Zod die, you know, like, you know. So she's not really scared of this Batman, you know, but at the same time, she just saw him murder all these people. And then he's like, don't worry, I'm a good guy. Oh, yeah, you know, and I'm actually not only just a good guy, I'm a good friend of your son's, you know. And then, hey, mom, how long have you been friends? 5 minutes. Okay, well, what happened the 5 minutes before that was 5 minutes? Well, he was actually trying to kill me, you know. And then we became actually not just like, oh, now you're not trying to kill me. Cool. We're cool with each other. No, we're good friends now. Like, homies. What? To jump from that to that really quick, I don't know, with no context, no build up, no scenes in between, no nothing. Like, it just, again, and that points to it being rushed, right? It just points to it being a rushed, just rushed. It just seemed rushed. Like, why didn't you, what? There's no build to them becoming friends. Or I get the turning point, but then there should be other moments that prove it, built on something. Again, built on a foundation of actions, right? Like, motivation is built, at least for a viewer or a reader or a consumer, it's the motivation is built on actions that we see the characters take. So then we get invested in either the villains. People, you know, some people like what Killmonger was about. Some people like what Thanos was about. You know what I mean? Like, okay, but there's a consistency in their thought. Killmonger acted consistently, even if you don't agree with whatever, he acted consistently with his thought to the end, even to the end with his own life. He says, throw me in the ocean, man. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, he was consistent with his thought, and I don't agree with it, but that's his thing. So you can get, as a viewer, you can get invested in that thing because he's there all the whole way through. So and not to say that nothing can't change his mind, but what I'm saying is we see him be consistent and actually believe in what he's saying. So then even if his character A, B, or C, if that character does that, there's something for everybody, right? There's people that agreed with Thanos's thought, you know what I mean? I don't, but because Thanos was consistent to the point where he kills his daughter, then you're like, oh man, this guy really believes what he's saying. And it's like, that's it. You know what I mean? So you can be like, okay, I'm down or not down with that. With this, it's like, wait, now you're friends? So how passionately did you believe whatever it is that you did believe or didn't believe? How passionately did you believe if it only took this to just, like, now you're not only like kind of on the fence, you're on the other side. You're like, no, I don't only like kind of, maybe I'll go back and think about it. Martha means I am now ride or die with you. Like, what? You went from trying to murder this guy to now you're going to give your life for this guy? Like,
and forgetting Robin.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It didn't make it, again, it's inconsistent. And
well, Angel, how do you feel about the Martha moment specifically?
Well, I think a lot of us felt, I felt like this is probably one of those moments that made this movie so controversial. I feel like this is a very divisive moment here in the movie. Right. You had either half of people going, you know, oh, I got this. This clicked with me. And then you have the other half saying, you know, where did this come from? Why did the mention of Martha kind of flip the switch on Batman? Why wasn't it when Superman was like, hey, Lex is behind this?
Yeah.
No, he's trying to use Zod's body to create Doomsday. And you know that kryptonite that you stole from him? Well, he's using that to kill me too, because he is the threat. He's actually the one behind all this. Why wasn't it that made Batman flip the switch? Why was it that name drop? And I felt like with the theatrical cut, there really is no context to that. It's like Daniel was saying, there is no building blocks to that moment for that to be like a compelling enough motivation to change Batman's motivation completely. But where I felt like the Ultimate Edition kind of improved this scene for me, were in the scenes where they showed more of Clark Kent's, Superman's human side. Because when you see him investigating Gotham, you see the state of mind that Clark Kent has. You see that human side. So I felt like when you see him connecting with people, when you see him here kind of begging for his life and saying, save Martha, it clicked more for me because I got those scenes from Clark Kent. But I still wouldn't understand why it would click for Bruce Wayne to be like, hey, he is a human now. And it's just weird to me that like Batman wouldn't see somebody that he brands, who's an actual human being, somebody that is him. They are of the same race, right? They are the same beings. It's weird that it wouldn't click for when he brands a human being, but it would click for an alien when an alien says Martha.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't make any sense. That just doesn't make sense. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, even for the people out there that want to agree with one thing, the movie disagrees with you. Like with any aspect you take, any side you want to take, even if you want to wholeheartedly really love the movie and invest your emotion in one ideal that the movie presents, the movie tells you you're wrong within itself so many times. It like goes back and forth, and so you're not allowed to kind of invest yourself in any ideal in the movie, I feel like, because they don't really pick anything for any character. It just doesn't really make any sense. Like, you know, do you want to, even Luther, are you trying to present that energy? Because you're not. And you know what I mean? And another highlight of the movie, I will say, was I did like Wonder Woman in the movie. I thought that was a highlight, especially in the fight scenes. You do get chills in that one moment where she gets knocked and she laughs and then goes back into fighting. Oh man, that was pretty sick.
And her theme too. Everybody's theme.
Well, that's a great. That is a great segue, because obviously this is not just a Batman versus Superman film. This is a film that sets up lots of other films. Obviously, we have the scene where we have the Flash come in, and he disrupts the whole dream that Bruce is having, and he's talking about how Lois is the key, how Superman. He doesn't say that Superman is a threat, but he does say that Lois is the key and that he's too soon, obviously alluding to films to come. And one of the biggest driving forces when it comes to teasing stuff is Wonder Woman in the movie. She's in the film. She shows up for the third act for the final battle to fight Doomsday. They tease her history. They tease her film, what's going on with World War I. You brought her up. How did you feel about Gal Gadot at first and her inclusion of Wonder Woman?
I never had a problem. I was on board from this shot. This was one of the first shots that we get of her, I think, right? Even beforehand, even before the movie came out.
Yeah,
and I was down from this moment. We didn't get a lot of color, but we knew that was going to be rendered later, so like that, this being an early shot. So I don't know. I was down from the beginning. I'm like, they need to have that. I don't know about in a Batman Superman, you know what I mean? But, but it would make sense that if these Titans are clashing, that, some other being would be paying attention. Maybe other beings of this nature would be paying attention, or would know. So I didn't have a problem with it. I'm down. And again, like I said, when I saw the movie, although I have like issues with it, one of the things that I did like about the movie was Wonder Woman. The scenes when she's not fighting, I thought were great, and the scenes when she's fighting are even better. So I don't know. I thought out of the superheroes, I thought she was the best. So that's how I felt about Wonder Woman. And then it leads into Wonder Woman, which for me is my favorite film of the DCEU. Is the first Wonder Woman film. Not the second one, geez, whoa. But the first one.
What happened with that?
Yeah, what happened with that? But the first one is definitely, I was down. And I know people don't like the end part, the last act very much, but I thought it was a great all-around film. I definitely.
Right. Well, Angel, Wonder Woman is obviously included to tease films to come. Her own film, Justice League, this is a bigger world, obviously, than just Batman versus Superman. How did you feel she her inclusion, did it help the story? Did it decrease from it? Was it kind of like distracting from the overall narrative? How did you feel about her inclusion?
So seeing her first look, I thought this was outstanding. I was like, yeah, they got Wonder Woman down, like in terms of the look and in terms of the presence. I thought Gal Gadot completely killed it as Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I felt like the way that she was utilized in the movie, I did feel like it was just only like a set piece to set something up for the future, right? I didn't really feel like she kind of served the story in a way. I feel if you take her character out, it doesn't really change anything. True. You know what I mean? You still get, you know, the beef between Batman and Superman, and you still get Superman dying if it's just him and Batman.
The one thing I will say is when Superman's getting down, she is the other being. Like Batman can't really do any. You needed that other, like heavy hand, heavy hitter to kind of be there, I think, for the Doomsday. And yes, I do think inserted, but yeah, I mean, you know, I think a highlight of the DCEU altogether. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
seeing that shot of them is epic, right? Seeing that shot of them, but I felt like if by inserting her and because this is her first appearance as Wonder Woman, I don't know. I felt like that same kind of disconnection that I did with Henry Cavill Superman. I felt like I didn't really know this Wonder Woman. Like she kind of just showed up out of nowhere. She was very mysterious. I mean, she can fight. That's cool. She can fight, but I wanted to know her. Yeah, I wanted to know her story. So when that Wonder Woman film came out, what an amazing DC film I thought. I mean, No Man's Land gives me chills every single time. You know, you know when Chris Pine is like, you know, no man can go in there, and she's like, well, I don't know. She's like, well, I'm not no man or something like that. She's like, well, it's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, right. You know, and chills, absolute chills. Her blocking the bullets, amazing. So when we got that backstory, when I got to know her, you know, and what she was all about, it enhanced my viewing upon second watch, because when that music kicked in and you see her kicking butt now, there we are. The character development is there. And now she can
just not in the film.
Yeah. And now, okay, the work has been done now. Okay, now I can watch the film where she's just fighting and she's just there to beat on Doomsday. And it was really cool.
Well, it does end up her being there inserted to hold Doomsday in place so Superman could sacrifice himself.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like a necessary, because what would a Batman, if Superman's down at any point for even a second, right, well, that's pretty much the end of that, you know? So I felt like, and I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, Angel. You know what I mean? Like, I agree with your points, but I'm just saying, I also agree with Julius's point where would the fight have gone? You know, like,
well, it's unfortunate that her inclusion is the first thought is physical in terms of her appearance rather than how it can serve the story. I feel like so much of the film is setting up other films, and it gets in, which we will get into a very big portion of the movie very soon. Let me just check the notes real quick. So we talked about Lex Luthor. We talked about Wonder Woman. Let's talk about the films, the way that this film has been received over the years. When it came out, when the Ultimate Cut came out, and ever since, it's been considered by a lot of Zack Snyder fans a masterpiece. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you agree? Which cut is the masterpiece? Because people will say that about both cuts. You know, it's not one or the other. It's like, okay, well, the theatrical one, that was fucking masterful. And then the Ultimate Cut came out. No, this one's masterful. That last one was, you know, that was a corporate shield product. This is the masterpiece. So how do you guys feel about that?
Well, so I feel that a lot of times people just choose a side and then they're tied to that side. And it's hard to, and I think that sometimes for a fandom that can be bad, even for themselves, and they don't even know it, that they're hurting themselves because they're so like either insecure that maybe Marvel's doing it kind of like at a consistent level of quality. And so then they're like, well, no, if I say I don't like it, then DC will just be canceled altogether. So like, we need to band together and be like, no, we want this. So they keep making this, like, no matter how bad it is, we got to be like DC, screw Marvel. So I feel like not all fandoms, but some fandoms have that where no matter how bad it is, they're going to say it's the best thing of all time. And I'm a fan of a lot of things, but I feel like it serves the fandom and the quality of the product, especially now with the tools like maybe like, you know, like social media or YouTube or whatever, like people can get out there, podcasts, and they can get out there and say, hey, you know, there's an issue with this. And you know, you can or cannot do something about it. We have the Sonic example, right? Sonic came out, they showed the picture, it was horrible, and people went to arms like, what? That is not Sonic. They rendered it and it came out better, right? And so
who's that imposter?
yeah, so I don't know. I feel like some people are going to be tied to that, and we can't really count those. That doesn't count because that's not an opinion. That's not an opinion. That has nothing to. No matter what they saw, even if they saw it blindfolded, they would have been like, that was the best thing I've ever seen. No, but you didn't even see it. No, it was the best thing I've ever seen. Stop it. So that those don't count as opinions because they're not opinions. Those are like something else. I don't even know what to call that. But it's like, I'm just deciding even before I watch this that I'm going to support everything that I see on screen, you know? And I think that, again, the quality of the product is made better by the writers when they're like, dude, people didn't like that. Like, they didn't like that. They didn't come and we didn't get the reviews that we liked. Like, we got a bunch of podcasts where people, our fans that love our product are saying that this sucks. You know what I mean? And so they're able to kind of gauge that way. But if you're lying to yourself and lying to the fandom or whatever and being like, no, I like that. Man, that sucked real bad, dude. But you're like, man, I like that out there publicly. Then they're never going to change it because there's this divide. All it's just going to be is kind of a divide. And they're going to keep making these movies, but they're just going to be ingrained in stone as movies that weren't that good, like historically speaking. They're always going to be remembered as divisive. And yes, there's a lot of people that don't like Marvel, usually those people, but it's consistently, we can agree, like whether you're not a comic book fan or you are a comic book fan, if you show these movies, DCEU and Marvel, to non-comic book fans, like just movie fans, they're going to say Marvel movies are just better. You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with DC or Marvel. Again, I'm talking about, hey, I'm down to invest myself in any ideal that you're trying to present, the character that you're trying to present. Just let me invest myself in it. Let me have a side. Just stop telling me that stop flip-flopping the character so that I can really be like, hey, this character has ideals. He stands for something. Like, let me, I'm trying to, but I can't pretend that I'm doing that when I can't. You know what I mean? I can't. I love Superman. I love Batman. I love Wonder Woman, but I cannot pretend that it didn't hit me. You know what I mean? Or that it hit me. I can't pretend that I really liked it when I was kind of, instead I was kind of like, wow, that was awkward. Instead of like, you know, when Captain America says something, it gives me chills, the hairs on my neck stand up. And I'm like, oh my God. Or, you know what I mean? I can't,
that.
You know, I get that completely.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
And I agree that happens a lot. Unfortunately, I feel like people want to get something that is, it's said that it's there rather than it actually being there. Like, for example, when they were promoting this film at Comic-Con, Ben Affleck said something along the lines of, this film was a lot smarter than myself, right? And I felt like that automatically got people into this mindset of like, oh shit, I'm going in for something really insightful, something really brainy, something that's not like other comic book films. But then you see a scene where Batman rips off a sink and hits Superman over the head with it. You know what I mean? Like, so it doesn't, I feel people get trapped, like you said, Daniel. Angel, how do you feel about it?
I just feel like passion is always great, but I feel like passion crosses the line when you hurt other people. You know, if it becomes physical, or if it becomes emotional abuse or harassment. And also, like what Daniel was saying, if you lie to yourself, that's not okay. You know, why lie to yourself about something? Right. You know, but it's like I mentioned before, you know exactly what you love depending on how it affects you. Right. So like if you see Captain America come out of the shadows and save Wanda Maximoff in Infinity War, like it's, you know, when you know it impacts you in a way, that's how you recognize there's great filmmaking at work here. You know, there's great filmmaking, there's great writing, there's great performance going on. And like when you get that moment in BVS, you see the Trinity for the first time. If it doesn't hit you, then something was off. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just something that the film, you know, there was a lack of something in the film, and it's not your fault, but it's not something to be angry about, you know, and it's not something to be like, if it did hit you, to tell somebody else you're not smart enough for this movie.
Yeah, right.
That I completely disapprove of. I don't believe that there are movies out there that are crafted to be smarter than the individuals that are watching it and consuming it and watch it for entertainment. That to me just doesn't make sense. It's art. It's all subjective. If you love a movie, amazing. If you don't love a movie, that's fine too.
Yeah,
You know, watch. It's just a movie at the very end of the day, and you can always watch another one that hopefully you'll like. You know, not all movies will resonate with you, and that's the beauty of how diverse films are in general. You know, all of us here, all three of us here, we're not just into comic book movies. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the only. We love all genres. We love quality. We love great storytelling. That's why we don't just identify as DC fans, Marvel fans, you know, indie fans, blockbusters, you know, art house. You know, we love it all if the storytelling gives us goosebumps. That's all it's about.
If it's there,
that's all we want. I mean, if we we're praising DC where it needs to be praised. I mean, the animation is great. A lot of their TV shows are really good. So like,
yes,
hit or miss. There's some shows that are not, but you know, I've told you guys about some shows that I kind of came across almost an accident that I brushed off, but I didn't think Titans was as bad as I thought it was going to be. I know I'm probably going to get laughed at, but I thought Titans, I'm only like 4 episodes in, but it's actually pretty good. Another show that I like a little bit better than that, that I haven't killed, you know, so it's not a show that's like hooked me, but Doom Patrol is actually pretty good.
I've heard that it's fantastic.
It is.
Yeah, I gotta watch it.
It is pretty good. And again, it obviously, you know, shows you want to binge. I'm on Lovecraft County right now. We just finished Warrior, so there's a lot to consume. But the DC, what I'm trying to say is it's not like we're like, oh, DC stinks here. We know DC's animation. I mean, you know, there's Spider-Verse, right? But consistently is better than Marvel. Like it just, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
So
and we know where that bar is set.
Right.
We're not saying, hey, we want the animated movies every single time with every version. No, we just want the quality to be at that standard because the DCEU just set it like forever.
Exactly.
Forever.
Well, if
those characters should be treated with the same regard.
I agree. If we were looking at it in that way, we wouldn't be getting films like Joker or The Batman or Shazam. We would just be getting more of the same thing, which is why I'm glad that we are getting different movies set with different directors, right? Yes. Though I'm not a fan of Batman versus Superman, I respect that Zack Snyder went out to do his vision. I respect that. I do. Making a movie is near impossible, right? Something I think film criticism easily forgets is that this is hard work that people work on. Hundreds of people work on this stuff, and it's hard and it takes forever. And especially with what happened with, you know, Justice League and Zack Snyder, like I don't have any ill will towards the guy. I've heard plenty of stories about people who are like, man, this fucking guy, no, I disagree with some of the morality that he displays within the films. I disagree with some of the comics or comments he makes regarding comic culture. But I mean, to go so hard, he's not asking you to go that hard. He's not. Why would he? He's a grown-ass man who has other things to do, right?
I mean, I will say he's doing that Snyder cut. I heard he's doing it for no pay.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane? Pay. That's pretty cool. Insane. So, like, whether you like the guy or you didn't like Justice League or whatever, I mean, the dude coming back to be like, no, stop it. I'm fixing it. No, you're not understanding. We're not going to pay you. Did you listen to what I said? I said I'm fixing it because it has my name on it. So I'm going to fix it because it has my name on it. So I'm going to do my best. You know, it may suck, it may not. Don't pay me, whatever. I don't care. It has my name on it, and it's out there, and people treat me a certain way because of the product that was out that had my name on it. So now I need to go back and fix it. Screw you. Screw what you think about me making it or not making it. I don't really care what you thought about the first film. I'm going to make it. So, you know, well, screw yourselves. I'm going to make it. And so there's something respectable about that, right? So I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool.
And there's one thing you can't take away from him as well. And I think it's his ability to bring those sketches, those concept art, the storyboards to life the way that he does. I think he does have a very unique visual eye that only he's able to do. And he does it on a consistent level, whether you like the movies or not. I think his ability to do that is kind of profound in a way and very tough to do.
So that's what I was gonna say is like visually speaking, he does have a lot of shots that you can just still and then watch for
Of
a
course.
long time, right?
Yeah.
Like you can just there's a lot of moments that you can just freeze in his movies and then just stare at, and
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing. Like that's it,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, I think
Yeah,
that's
like that
definitely
one-
what he's most praised for. It's actually what was really smart about the marketing of the new Justice League coming out is that until that last trailer, it was visual based. It was set photos, stills of costumes and characters. The first trailer they showed was just the visuals and the music playing under it. Like they know what his strengths are as a filmmaker. So they sold the film based on that, you know? And they did the same here. Exactly.
It's true.
One shot I really love from BVS is that shot of Batman hanging on the ceiling or the building, and it's a direct homage to The Dark Knight Returns with the lightning in the background. I mean that shot, you look at it and you instantly smile.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the story is or who the character really is. It's very familiar to like my experience with comics. When I read comics, sometimes I'm not always prioritizing the story. Always, for me, when I'm reading a comic, it's always visual based. I look for the artwork and I look at the story through the art itself. And I feel like there's a lot of moments like that in Zack Snyder's vision that I feel like, yes, this is respectable. And I feel like you just can't take that away from him.
Yeah, you can't. And he's proving that, I think, you know, like, so that's what I'm trying to say is like, no matter what you say about the movies, I mean, you can't talk trash about not only a guy in the arena, but a dude that's willing to be in the arena for free. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy. So it's yeah, I don't know. It's really cool. I when I heard that, I was like, is that true? I don't know, because that's really cool and probably takes a bunch of work. You know what I mean? So
oh yeah, they gave him $70 million to finish it. Think about that, a director getting a $70 million budget and not taking salary. That's kind of like unheard of.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, exactly.
Insane,
that's what I'm saying. Like, that is kind of like, again, you know, it's one of those things that I would always say about the MCU, like hate it all you want, but the MCU, what they established is cinematic history. And so like, that's what I think this dude is doing right now is like, he's going back and he's kind of making cinematic history because people manifested this. Like, when has this happened? Like, where people have been like, no, we want to redo, like, and I get remakes, but like this hard, like of a remake where it actually manifests to $70 million to be, you know what I mean, to put in the pocket of this guy. That's how much the outcry and demand for this guy, you know, whether you like it or not, like that's kind of insane. And it's cinematic history that the dude's doing it for no money. I mean, has that, no, I mean, I'm sure there's the indie film, you know, these guys that are passion projects and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but for a blockbuster.
But have a guy ever had a blockbuster budget and taken no money, zero money to do it? Like, that's insane.
No way.
I don't know if that's ever happened, you know? So that's the, you know, hats off to him. And I hope the movie, you know, I agree with Angel. The Ultimate Edition is a little bit better than the theatrical cut. But it for me, it's still, it's like maybe a grade above, like a little bit above, you know, like if I gave the first time I said maybe it's a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10, the Ultimate Edition's a 7 out of 10. You know what I mean? Something like that. It's not really, it doesn't really change it for me. Even that is kind of highballing it. And so I'm hoping that with $70 million, the Snyder Cut, the Justice League rendition, his idea can change it to the point where there's some improvements. You know, I really hope so. Adding 4 hours and stuff like this. But
I mean, you know, that kind of runtime, it kind of scares me, to be honest. A 4 hour. I mean, that's why I've kind of been put off from seeing the Ultimate Cut from BVS, because that's 3 hours of like watching a movie. And I love watching films, but it's a longer cut of a movie that I didn't care for so much, you know, in the first place. So like I said, I've said plenty of times, I'm hoping to love the Justice League Snyder Cut, right? I think we're all hoping to love that. like
Me too.
what we established, who wants to go into a film being like, yeah, this shit's gonna suck. I paid $20 for it to suck. Like, no, dude.
Yeah, right.
Let's just hope
Let's
it's
hope.
not too late.
Let's hope.
So the last thing we have to talk about is the definite shut up. This is the definite link to Zack Snyder's Justice League. The portions of the film that are set in the not too distant future of Darkseid and Superman.
This is exciting.
So
this is exciting.
Okay, so when these sequences happen in the film, Batman's asleep. He's dreaming of a world that's coming, and you see the Omega symbol right there. He does carry an assault rifle. He has a resistance. He has a coat and everything. What were your first impressions when you saw this, Angel?
Seeing these sequences, I loved it. I loved seeing the Omega symbol. I loved knowing that Darkseid was coming. I thought just the look of the nightmare sequence was beautiful. But seeing, Batman with like an AK-47 was a little weird, to be honest. I was weirded out by that. Seeing him use them to fight with them, I was weirded out by that. But I guess, desperate times calls for desperate measures here, especially if Darkseid's on the way.
Or if he's there.
I loved the look of this here. I loved seeing Superman as the threat, especially because we know that if it is following the Injustice storyline, Joker kills Lois. Lois is the key, and that's basically what makes Superman snap and probably fall under control of Darkseid. That to me is really exciting because who's going to be the one that brings him out? The goddamn Batman. And I mean, just seeing this whole sequence, so cool. It definitely reminded me of George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road. So I just love the entire aesthetic of this whole sequence. But I thought the editing of the sequence and establishing how it's coming to fruition was a bit off. For example, when Flash comes in, it seems like he's traveling through time. It seems like he's there, waking up like with Bruce. But then we learn that Bruce like wakes up. And so it's just very confusing in terms of editing as to how that even happened. Was Flash actually there? Was Flash in Bruce's dream? I have no idea. So the editing I thought was not the best, but the sequence itself I thought was pretty glorious.
Well, Daniel, how did you feel when you first saw these sequences of the future nightmare scene?
I mean, I get it. Again, a lot of this movie, I get it. I was just off put by it. It was built on the scene is built on what? On Flash coming. So then which one? Yeah. Is Flash part of the dream? Is Flash traveling through time, through dreams, through outside of dreams? If you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of like, again, it's just inserted. Is it cool? Does it look cool? I mean, that shot right there, it looks dope, Batman with the AK again. I guess because you're like, well, he's already been killing. So in this situation with Darkseid, he's definitely going to be, using like Rambo.
That will work. Yeah,
exactly. Like now he's just going to go full Rambo. So like, that's fine. But, and you do get excited for what this could mean as a comic fan, right? So like you see this and you're like, okay, I know what this could mean. I know what this means later in the future. You see Superman. Yeah, he's the threat. Lewis is the key, like Angel said. So what this could mean is really cool, Again, I totally agree with Angel. Does it look cool? Yes. What does it mean? The implications of the scene? Down. But within the context of the film, again, the editing kind of throws you off. I do agree with Angel. It's really more the editing that lacks in this particular scene that makes it feel like it's lacking context, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like though those are cool shots, it is cool in theory to tease like this apocalypse at some point. I just feel like within the narrative of the film, you already have Batman already has reason enough to fear Superman and to act in extremist ways. And I felt like this didn't serve in adding to his motivation. It instead just was there to tease what's going to happen in Justice League. And I feel like if you took it out, it'd probably strengthen the film. It took that out along with the Flash cameo. I feel like that would actually help. You could save that time in building Batman's character and why he's actually like this. Now, I do get that this could be a look at as to why he's going crazy and ready to kill Superman, but I feel like it just serves for fans more so than the actual story, you know. And that's one thing that's actually never brought up when it comes to director's cuts, is that it's like you're expecting more stuff, but what if you look back at your original cut and say, okay, maybe I should take this out, maybe I should take this out, this is just kind of fluffy over here. And I feel like these sequences are definitely that. You know. Do you guys
Very
agree?
well said. Check out this fan art. Check.
I agree.
No, I completely agree with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, here, why don't you go ahead, Angel?
Yeah, check out this fan art here. Imagine if this was the reality of what happens at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League. This art comes from Eldred on Instagram, and I love the idea of this, because Julius has actually mentioned it before, that like, what if, you know, we do see that nightmare scene come to fruition, and we see Superman join Darkseid's side for a bit, and we see the Justice League bring him out to, you know, bring him back to light, basically. I think it's a pretty exciting idea.
I wonder if this will actually happen. It'll be 4 hours, so there's no reason to say, oh, we didn't have enough time to do that.
Yeah, if it's 4 hours, give us this, you know, because this, to be honest, is kind of sick.
And now Mortal Kombat, so hey, we're gonna get MK and DC.
Yeah, hell yeah. You know I want that, and you would watch that too, Daniel.
I would. I'd be there.
Look,
hey, Scorpion's in the back of that concept art, I swear.
Exactly.
Well, look, I think we can all agree that we don't want to look like this while watching Justice League, right? We don't want to. You know, we'd much rather look this way, for sure.
Yes.
And that's why I think that's why we're doing this series, is to get excited, to hope for the best, to really examine how it got to this point where a Snyder cut is even possible, why we loved certain films, why we didn't love other movies. And come on, man, it's the Justice League. We need to see it happen correctly. And 4 hours, you can't figure that shit in 4 hours. You don't get 5 then, man. Come on. So
I wonder.
Go ahead.
I wonder what the thing will be is if it stinks, right? Like if it's not good,
shit.
like what will
Civil War?
What will happen? Like where will we go? You know.
Honestly, for me, I mean, I feel like if I don't like Zack Snyder's Justice League with the 4 hours, I think I'll be okay. You know, I'm we've moved on, I think, from that point. You know,
That's true.
I'm watching Superman and Lois already. I've gotten that feeling of hope already that I felt like I had been lacking for years. And so I'll be totally okay. I'm just happy that he was able to tell his vision. I'm happy that they were able to raise awareness for suicide and mental health. There's a lot of benefits to it. If I don't like the movie, it's not the end of the world. But again, I'm hoping for the best. And I just want to see more of Henry Cavill Superman, man.
Yeah.
We all want that.
Same. And I do feel this, like but one of the main reasons that I really respect it is that he's not taking pay and he really cares about his vision and like his name, right? And so I definitely think that, but if we look at the result, right? Okay, let's say it sucks. Like, okay, then it was just a Snyder cut, right? Then whatever, it sucks. But if it's good, like, what if it's really good? Like, so what? Like, are they gonna go from there? They're not, right? They're not gonna be like, okay, this was the real one. Let's go from the storylines that this built, and then aren't they just gonna be like, oh, that was good. Oh well, let's continue with what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I have no idea what the plans are really. I mean, they've moved, like we've said, they've moved on in terms of films from the Justice League we saw in theaters. Like that is canon in at least one of these worlds that they're setting up, Earth 1 or 2. I don't know if this is Earth Z or Earth S or anything. So who knows, man?
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely do think if it's a success, that conversations are going to be had. You know, I think I think conversations about Ben Affleck HBO Max series Deathstroke is inevitable.
A sequel.
If this is a success, I think that's definitely inevitable, and it's a missed opportunity if that doesn't happen. You know, especially if they get Ben Affleck to direct that series. You know, that to me is just like a gold mine, and it's only a win-win if they do that. They continue this Zack Snyder version of Justice League, and then they continue and move on with Matt Reeves' vision as the definitive, here's our DCU. Here's our DCU. It's starting off with Matt Reeves. We will be introducing that version of Superman, Wonder Woman, Justice League. I feel like that's the best case scenario.
I agree.
But I also do believe that people who have been rooting for Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think no matter what, they're going to love it. I don't see a scenario where the people who've been rooting for this, the people who have made the $70 million budget happen, I don't see them watching this and then disliking it, you know? So I definitely do feel like there's going to be positive feedback, and that hopefully those conversations will be had about, hey, how can we continue this for those fans?
And I don't see people that liked the first one, they're gonna love this one. You know, I don't know. I don't see them like now hating it. You know what I mean? I don't see that. If you already like that, then you're definitely probably gonna love this. You know, like so.
Yeah, it's 4 hours. You're getting 4 hours of what you already liked.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense, right? So, you know.
Yeah, man. Well,
that's how I feel about it.
Well, that's it, man. We talked about BVS for about longer than actually BVS is. And
crazy.
I love talking to you guys about this. Thank you so much for joining us. Daniel, you really made it through this. How do you feel?
I feel great. I feel hopeful. No, I feel like vengeance.
You feel like powder. Just say it.
Yeah, exactly. Go watch that movie. I want to know what you think.
I absolutely will. So on your channel, what is coming out? Tell us what is the latest for the show known as For.
So the latest is we have episode 619 dropping today, or when this episode comes out, it would be probably a few days before. But yeah, episode 619. Check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Saga MC is my co-host. He does hip hop. He just released on his Spotify a song called Woke that you should check out if you have Spotify. Saga MC, check it out. It's pretty good. It's an older song, but he's had it on his other platforms and he just released it on his Spotify. I was listening to it almost by accident and I was like, oh my goodness, this is really good. So if you want to check that out, you know, that's our channel. That's my co-host, and you know, and these guys are the goats, you know.
Crazy, man. Thank you. Angel, where can the people find you online?
You guys can find me on YouTube at The Goat Movie Podcast. You can also find me on Twitter at Goat Movie Pod. And you can find me on my personal account at Blu-ray Angel. And we can engage there about movies all day, every day. Cinema is my life, but not just cinema. Also TV series that are just as good as cinema. And speaking of TV series that are just as good as cinema, I need you all to watch Superman and Lois, because this show is the real deal. Please do not let this show get canceled. Trust me. I've seen a lot of CW pilots. Trust me. This one was particularly very special and unlike any other. The budget was there. The writing was there. The character was there of Superman. And it's just so good to have Superman back in our lives.
Back.
And, you know, it doesn't matter. Even if we're talking about movies that we love or mediocre, we don't like. I just love having these conversations with you two, my friends. I mean, how fast did those 3 hours just pass by? Unbelievable.
It didn't feel like it.
No.
You know, I could run it back with you guys all the time. Really grateful for you two. And Daniel, wish you the best with all your guys' content.
Always. Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I am Julius, and I hope you subscribe, because we are on our way to 10,000 subscribers, and it will be because of your help. So do us a favor and do the regulars of YouTube, like, share, subscribe, notification bell. I'm Julius.
And I'm Angel.
And I'm Daniel.
Thank you. Stay safe. And goodbye. The GOAT Podcast is proof you don't have to look any further for movie news, reviews, trailer reactions, or special discussions. Subscribe, get notified about what's going on, and I promise you'll be entertained by our daily content on YouTube. If you want more, we're on Twitter at GOAT Film Podcast, Instagram The GOAT Podcast, and the GOAT Movie Group on Facebook. Get connected with us, see what's happening, and make sure to love it while you're doing so.